That's good. I said all of your names, so you're going to have to get Cowgirl to translate because that was funny. Okay, yeah, I was on mute. That was good. I got all of your names there. That's crazy. Yeah. Hi, Sheila. Hi, Sunny Bunny. I was down to, where was I down to? I passed Ivy Lynn, Kathy, Angel, Callie. GB was first as usual. See me at the beach, whisper to me, Maryville, Baby Doe, I got you, Maria. Miss Marcy, Love Conquers All. And I was doing really good, too. Graciela, Leah Jane, Debbie Do, Debbie, See Me, Mary, Tessa, Brandy, Wildlife, Manager of Three Monsters, Happy Bee Cakes, Hello, Joe Schmo, Seaglass, Teresa, Linda, Carrie Lynn, Jessica, hi. And let's see, Rise Up, Jennifer, Sarah A., Ann Fox, Greenhouse, Diana, Matt, hello, Kyle Mill, Ashley, yeah, and Gigi Gypsy. I've been hoping that you asked me to reply to you with something. I tried to reply to your email, and it sent back my email and said that I had to pay a fee with cryptocurrency in order to be able to email you. So I cannot email you unless you take that off your account. I did say, Des Harris, I said hello to all of you guys, but it took it, I was on mute. Des Harris, Crazy Cat Lady, hi. Love Conquers All, hello. Yeah, I got all of you in the beginning. GB, Jill D, Tammy, Tabby, Sandy, Des Harris, Kathy from Texas, Jennifer Tonks, Carla, Aussie, Mary Kim, Baby Doe, Sonia, Karen, Graciela, Random Guy Jeff, Wildlife, Kathy, Dana, Brandy, Ivy Lynn, Mandy, SN, CYNT, Whisper to Me, Love Conquers All, I think I was here, Jules Freedom, Narc Shark, Stacy, Elizabeth, Alicia, Bernard, Tessa, right? And then I think Debbie Dew, and then I think I was caught up, okay? Hopefully. Lisa, hi. Sammy, hello. What was that? More the Merry. Mystery Seeker, hi. Carol. Okay, Justice. Okay. I was going through this trial today, and every time I was going through, I was getting phone calls about it. Okay, like, can you believe the babysitter on the left? Can you believe this one? So I actually want to watch this day again, but I mean, I will go through what I have so far, and I will tell you when I first heard Tim Sr. take the stand, but I'll go through him in a minute. The babysitter / girlfriend, okay? I don't even understand how the defense called her because she did nothing for the defense. Is this live? This is live, the Bryan clan. Look, and I've got Jimmy's mug because I grabbed it by mistake. So best husband ever. So that should give you an idea of where my head is today. Hi, Jill. Hi, Ma. Wait, chickadee. So when she's on the stand, and then she keeps saying stuff like, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew he was in his right mind. He knew what he was doing. And she documents this physical abuse, this over-the-top physical abuse, this craziness of tiptoes in the corner for the entire day. Okay? Just crazy stuff. And you can barely hear. Hold on. Seriously? Hello. Can you hear me now? My mic thing on my Streamlabs is going all the way. Can everyone hear me? Can you hear me okay? Or somebody said they could barely hear. Okay. So, yeah, we'll get to his dad in just a minute. I'm loud and clear. Okay, thanks, Josh. So I was thinking, like, wow. And then what was with the prosecution? Yesterday, they had lavalier mics, lapel mics. Today, what did they forget them today? I couldn't hear.
The father of Timothy Jones Jr. testified on his son's behalf for hours today. Timothy Jones Sr. was emotional as he talked about his grandchildren and his son. News 19's Jacob Reynolds has been in the courtroom the entire time.
Now it's just playing on its own.
With more.
And I can't figure out, my mouse doesn't want to cooperate here.
Well, Darcy, Jones Sr. took the stand just after 2 p.m. and testified for hours about his son and grandchild. And when that ended at 5, they are expecting him to come back Thursday morning. And he started his testimony talking about Jones Jr.'s childhood and the home he grew up in, at times describing it as rough and violent. He also talked about his wife's mental illness and their eventual divorce. Jones Sr. said his son was smart and had his life ahead of him, but he told the jury he didn't approve of Jr.'s marriage to Amber, nor the way he would punish his kids with spankings. Eventually, Jones Sr. and his son had a falling out over Christmas of 2012, and Sr. says he never saw the grandkids alive again. In September of 2014, Jones Sr. talked about getting his son to take investigators to the bodies of his children.
Of course, when I went there, because, we had discussed it, whatever happened, he was going to let me spend a few minutes with him, I'll go with you. Whatever I have to do.
So you offered to go with him to find the babies, right?
Yeah, I told Timmy I'd go with him if it's what it took.
And did he want you to go with him?
No. I said he didn't want to, but he said, but I'll tell him. I'll show him.
And Jones Sr. said after that he discovered his fear about his son's behavior had been realized.
This is the Tim that I was scared I was going to see one day. I mean, he's got some relatives and his mother. Unfortunately, they're not right, And I've seen his mother go through it. I seen her brothers, Eddie, Chris, Arthur, and Domingo killed his damn self. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's just bad DNA, I guess. He's sick, man. I mean, that's all there is to it. That's all I can really, Cindy has, you've seen the pictures of her, and it's just a look that I just don't know how to explain it to you folks. I seen it when I was a young man, and hell, I seen it come again. I didn't, it's a nightmare.
Okay, so we'll go back to the father in a second, but we've got the babysitter. So the babysitter basically couldn't take it anymore. She couldn't get through to him not to discipline the kids like that. He was disciplining the kids with excessive force. She was seeing marks on the legs. Now, then we go to another babysitter, but that was not the girlfriend. The girlfriend, then he started taking to church. He started telling her what she was going to wear, that she was wearing things that too revealing. They were speaking in tongues at church. She didn't even know what it was. She didn't know that it was Pentecostal. She was starting to say the Holocaust. And then they're like, no, is it Pentecost? Pentecostal? Yeah, okay. So, but she did care, about the kids and knew that it wasn't right, but could not get through to him that it wasn't right, okay, and what he was doing to these kids. They had a horrible home, right. And then they had this other babysitter that would come into the house from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and she cared about, both of those women were scared to be on the stand, and they were emotional, especially the second woman. Yes, it was Tim's girlfriend, Teresa. So, hi, Aletha. Hi, Tico. So then this other poor woman that was taking care of the kids, she was trying to show them love. There, she talks about a photo album being brought out. She cooked them oatmeal. That's all they had was oatmeal. Hi, Emil. And the photo album, the kids said, don't tell our father we showed you this because he'll go nuts, because they were showing her pictures of their mother and saying how much they loved their mother and they wanted to visit their mother. And they knew, because he had emotional abuse, was telling them, don't tell anybody about this. Don't talk about your mother. Don't tell them you want to see her, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so yes, they had a terrible life. And she said that she would try to squash things down before he heard them and beat the kids. And he was beating even the 2-year-old, with a belt, on bare skin, okay? He was over the top, okay? And for little things, too. And then he went to hit the youngest, who she said wasn't even like a year old, because she was just pulling herself up on things, and she accidentally knocked over a drink or something, and she said he went to whip her, and she grabbed the baby, so it was horrible. His girlfriend babysitter, he was going to whip her. Yeah, right. You just said the same thing I did. Wow, that's right. So, no, that was Elaine. That was his daughter. That was Elaine. That was the little girl. And then he would take the others in the bathroom to beat them. Okay? And she would hear them screaming. Please look at the above text. I'm trying. What, from you, Kathy? Kathy, what text am I looking at? I sent you an email. Police officer was in the courtroom. Huge error. We've discussed this, and for some reason, they're allowing the witnesses to be in the courtroom prior to their testimony. Yes, it's somebody gave us about South Carolina law, Kathy, that we read early on in the case. And so where it would be not permitted in some other counties, it's permitted there in Lexington County for witnesses to be in the courtroom before and after testifying. Yeah, no problem. I thought it was weird myself. Yeah, I questioned it myself. I've never seen it before. Believe it was you think it was Crystal's I thought it, well, regardless, he was hitting the kids. It's right. So anyway, he was hitting the kids. And then we have the other babysitter. There's no food. The kids are starving. Kids are crying. The little girl is crying like she's starving. All she can feed them is oatmeal. That's all that's in the house. And she talks about, again, how to try to get the kids to calm down because he'll beat them any chance he gets. And the other one was saying too, he doesn't calm down. He's in a rage when he's doing this. And what's the matter with who? I don't know. The woman that cooked the oatmeal. No. She wasn't no. The woman that cooked the oatmeal was the African American woman. She came on after the girlfriend. She was cooking the oatmeal. She also went with them to Disney. They were showing her receipts about the 20-piece McNuggets, And she was also crying when she explained how he was taking the 2-year-old because I guess the 2-year-old didn't eat something and making him eat it again or not eating anything else, and just so many different types of abuse. Yeah, Kelly House. So, but they were both like scared. I mean, the second woman, the one that was she was sweating, they were like terrified. I don't know whether they were terrified that he was going to send someone to do something to them, but they were terrified. They were emotionally upset about it, but they seemed just terrified. Okay. And everybody thought he was a great dad. But his father, okay, we'll get to the father in a minute. Okay. All right. So let's go to the father. Now, when I first saw the father come on, I was expecting someone like Ronnie Watts, okay? And I was very surprised. The father is a whole hour of talk. I know, right? But I don't know if you felt like me when he first came on. Now, forget that the ex-wife, okay? We can go to her later. Yes, she said he was an alcoholic. Yes, he was abusive, Tim Sr., right? We can go into her later. But I want to discuss the father right now. Because a lot of people, when they saw a news report early on, thought he was going to be like Ronnie Watts. This guy is really not anything like Ronnie Watts. Because he's not idolizing Tim, okay? When they said, how is Tim as a father? He said, I don't think Tim was worthy to be a father, okay? Because of his extreme religious views. Ronnie Watts would never do anything like that, would never say one thing against his son. So while a lot of people said, well, he's a bully and he went after this, he also said a lot of damning things against his son. Okay? He cleaned up, but he's right. But he also, you can't forget the things he already said about his son. Okay? Because he didn't, I mean, he said, you know, he was in the religion, and then he believed in the literal interpretation of the Bible, and you couldn't talk to him, and he was just so set in his ways, and he would have a big fit if you told him anything. And he said, and here he was using excessive discipline on the kids, and the spare the rod, spoil the child, that's BS, he said, and he was doing it. And the reason they had a fight in 2012 is Tim had the kids down there, and I guess he went and whipped one of the kids down there, and the father said, this is not going to happen in my house. And then Tim never spoke to him again. But yes, we'll get to Amber, what he said about Amber in a second, but I just want to talk about Tim right now. Because he didn't say glowing things about Tim. He said some glowing things, that he was very smart, but then he'd quickly follow up. You know, there's a fine line there between someone that's very smart and someone that's crazy, is what he was saying. And I told Tim, watch yourself. Then he said that, you know, there's a lot of mental illness between Tim's mother. And then when he talked about the baby they lost, did anybody hear how that William died at 8 months old? Because I missed how that child died, but he says a shindig. You know, he was 8 months, so we had a whole shindig. And the defense lawyer was like, by shindig, do you mean a funeral? Yes. And then he says, no, but you can't be stillborn at 8 months. Do you mean 8 months in utero? Is that what he meant? Okay, I wasn't sure. He didn't make that clear. I thought the child was 8 months. So he was 8 months and he was stillborn? Okay. You thought he meant months pregnant. It really wasn't clear, because then they talk about Amber's miscarriage, right? And we don't really get a lot of details on that. So yeah, he says, you know, we had the whole shindig, we had like a mock funeral. Okay, and so we get there. Then he talks about how when Amber lost a baby after Nathan, again, we don't know. Big T kept pushing that point. When he was just like his mom, about him being just like his mom, yeah. And he says, oh, he really loved Tim's mom. And then she became a prostitute or something on the back of a magazine. And she was arrested, and she didn't have Tim with her. You felt Tim Sr. was being as honest as he could, for the most parts, as the way he saw things in his own. I walked away feeling he really wanted better for the children. Yeah, I saw things before I watched it from people, from you guys and stuff, and some of you said, oh, he's a big bully, he's a liar, he's this, he's that. But I think, yes, he said some things that were, but I don't think, I don't think he is anywhere near like just sugarcoating things to make his son look good, because he didn't make his son look good. Not at all. So he disagrees with his son about the discipline. He disagrees with his son about the religion. Said his son was over the top with it. He said that his son's beliefs that, he was going to have a woman that was not be told what she was going to wear. She was never going to cut her hair. And that's when he said, you might as well be Amish. Okay? If you're going to do that, where are you going to find a modern woman, Tim, that is going to live this way? But then he claims that Amber was okay with it at first. He was trying to make Tim sound crazy. Yes, but also that he was totally unfit as a father, and that he was abusing those kids. So when they're saying, see, it goes against them. They can't have it both ways. Here's the thing. They have the intel guys saying that Tim didn't say he heard voices. They didn't say that he thought the kids were out to harm him, and that his work wasn't suffering. So if the defense wants to point out that he wasn't insane at this time, his father, if you're taking that to be that, then his father's saying he was insane. So it doesn't match up there. Mom popped the water bed and left a cake on the floor. Right. Yeah. We'll catch this on the replay. I just can't keep up with the chat. And it seems only certain folks get their questions answered. That's not true, Janadu. I don't really address questions in the chat until I'm done talking about the recap. Then I go back and answer them. But no, and if you ever have a question that's not answered, all you have to do is email me. Okay, so I just feel that his testimony, like, I don't know. I guess I thought he was going to be much more that Tim was in the right on everything, and it was all Amber, 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 Amber. He does say stuff about Amber, and I'll get to that here. Can you imagine hitting with a belt, especially a 2-year-old? Yeah, right? Okay, sorry. No, it's okay, Janadu, but I will answer questions. I don't really answer them while I'm doing this, because otherwise, you see, I have ADD and we'll be here for 17 hours. The mother was not put away for 20 years either. She was not in a hospital for a week. Okay, yeah, he took her in for 1 week, that's right, and then he took her out because he loved her, and he, wanted her out. And he said that he told them enough kids, but he said that he found a letter there. This is after the miscarriage, that would be the 4th pregnancy. He said Tim was beside himself with that miscarriage, absolutely beside himself. And his father didn't really understand, okay, because even though he had lost a child at 8 months, right, he just felt that he was using this term that some doctor told him that, maybe, in other words, God will take care of something for you. So meaning that maybe you couldn't care for this baby. So I think what he was trying to say, so God took care of the situation for you, which Tim did not appreciate at all. Tim got very angry, and he told Tim, why are you even trying to have more kids? You don't need more kids. You have enough kids right now than you can handle. And then he said, well, he found a letter from Amber, and it was hard to understand him sometimes because he was just not, he was kind of a mumbler too, and just kind of put the stuff together. I think he said that she said, why can't they leave us alone and let us have more kids? And he just felt that things were in disarray. Now he goes back to the intel and everything and says that he was proud of Tim, very proud of Tim, but Tim had this very hard job with intel, and he couldn't come home and take care of the kids, and Amber wasn't doing a good enough job. And so he says, first of all, she was pissed off. Why was she pissed off? She was pissed off because Tim bought this trailer. And he said she was expecting that he got this job at Intel. Well, then he's going to have a big, he's going to buy a big house for them, and they're going to have nannies, and they're going to have a housekeeper, and it's going to be easy street. And instead, Tim purchased this really rundown trailer, and the bathrooms weren't even working in it. And so he said she was pissed. Okay, who wouldn't be moving in a trailer with 3 young kids and the bathrooms aren't even working? Okay, it's dirty, it's filthy, it has glass all over the outside. You can't even let the kids outside. Okay, and it's all because Tim was so cheap. Okay, he just wanted to put a few thousand in, and he didn't care. He didn't think about anybody but what it was going to be. So his father and his stepmother came down to help them out and spent like a week or 2 weeks there cleaning up all the glass so the kids wouldn't cut their feet. And he said he bought them a washer and a dryer and a refrigerator, and he put in a new countertop. So you can imagine the condition. And then he goes, by the time we left, the bathroom was where you could use the bathroom. Great. Right. So he made a lot of little digs about that. But then he would say, I like Amber, but this is the truth. She was pissed about that. She was totally pissed about that. She didn't want to live in the trailer. And Tim thought it was great. Tim thought the trailer was wonderful, and it was going to save them money, and they were going to fix it up. And then, later on down the line, that they would move into something. So then he says that he swept some dirt into the corner when he was leaving, and he had some gunk on the countertop that he put in, or something when he put the stove in or something. And Amber had said, I will take care of that. Well, when he went back a week or 2 later, he said the dirt was still swept into the corner, hadn't been picked up, and the gunk was still on the countertop. And he told her, come on, you got to clean this up. And again, he said, nothing against Amber, but they were fighting. She didn't want to wear, what he wanted. She wanted to wear jeans now, and she wanted to wear the shirts that she wanted. And, he wasn't having any of it. So he said, how is this going to even work? Because his son wasn't going to change his ways. So there's nothing, how is this going to work, right? And let's see what else he said here. Use the bathroom, garbage, right? Amber did not clean. And he says Tim busted his ASS, and he's not going to come home and clean this stuff up. Amber was one pissed woman, is what he said. And Timmy had a good plan, okay? He was going to buy that trailer with cash, $5 to $6K into it, and it was going to be a lot better. And his father had a construction company, so he could come up and do the work. But not long after, the marriage falls apart, and Tim tells his father that Amber had an affair. Well, he says, how could Amber have an affair? She lives in the middle of nowhere. Who'd she have an affair with? And he says, well, the neighbor's son. And he said, well, you mean the teenage kid? No, or that old guy? No, the son, right? Okay, you mean the teenage kid? He was 19, so technically a teenager, but they kept saying he was 17. So he said, let her, this is Tim Sr., let her have the kids, pay her child support, and you be a hero every 2 weeks. You know, that's what his father said. That's fine. You just be the hero every 2 weeks. And Tim said, no, 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 no. I want the kids. So he got 3 of the kids, and she had Gabriel, okay, and she was pregnant. And he took the 3 kids to his parents, and then he said he wanted to go back and get Gabriel, and his father tried to talk him out of it. He said, look, Gabriel's a baby. Let him stay with his mother. We're going to have to end up taking care of these kids. The kids in diapers. We don't want this responsibility. You have 3 kids here. Let her have the baby. And then he wasn't having it. He had to go get Gabriel. So they went in the car up to the trailer. And he said when he walked in, the house was a mess. He said that he always opens the refrigerator to see if they have food because otherwise he'll buy it. This is Tim Sr. again. And he said there was nothing but beer in the refrigerator. And he said that Amber was on the couch with a beer. He picked up Gabriel, and he said that it felt like he had dipped him in water because urine just fell off of the kid when he picked him up. And he told her, you change this effing baby now, and you clean this place up, okay? And let's see. And that is where I had to end. They had their break after that, and I didn't get to the rest of that. I know he's on the stand again tomorrow. I don't know how much more we had after that. But that's where I got to on that. A lot of dysfunction. No, he did not say it was a mess. He said a bomb went off. I believe every word of that. What? What are you saying, BBT? He did not say it was a mess. He said a bomb went off? Okay. When did the 5th child come in? She was born right December of, I think, 2012, right? Father was honest. He just doesn't know how to express things in the right kind of ways people would think with all the cursing. The language, I couldn't stand it. He was intoxicated. I believe the grandparents let the children in danger, negligence with them. CPS not reporting it. Yeah, 12. Okay. And then he goes on about Elaine, the sister, and Larry, little Larry, are dying. And then he goes on to say that extreme... Oh, hold on. I got another... Oh, this thing is coming on again. I don't understand why these things just come on.
When we gonna get the pink one back?
Hold on. Oh, the trial is starting
Do
again.
that. I'll wear pink too. We'll match.
No, it's starting back at the beginning. Okay. This trial is ridiculous. But did anybody else hear anything that they want to talk about this trial today? Do you want to call in and talk about this? Anything that happened after that I missed because I have to rewatch the end? Hope you are all going well. Thank you, Rosalind. Did he say Amber with a beer? Wasn't she pregnant with Abby? Yeah, Sheila. So, oh, and then the guy walked out, right? Then he said the guy walked out. So let me see what some folks are like saying. They did everything for the kids and his person didn't do this and this person didn't do this nor that, and she was like blah 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 and swear by the whole lie. So we'll see what happens in the it'll be interesting in one with the cross-examination, because I'm sure they'll hit on the points he said about Amber. It's probably, yeah, poor Amber, yeah. You think brain injury and skull fracture came from him getting the crap beat out of him the last 4 years in jail. You're at a loss, Carol. Why was the dad doing all this and buying things to fix it up? What was Tim doing with his money? Maybe Amber felt Tim should be doing this. Yeah, I don't know what he was doing with the money and why he wasn't putting things in, or why he couldn't have got a better place that was in better condition. Even if he got a trailer, he could have gotten them a trailer that was not in, because the father said it was horrible. It was in horrible condition. You would have rather lived in a tent, Ivy Lynn. It was weird about the boyfriend being there and Tim being okay with him. Living conditions do remind me of Andrea Yates. They lived in an RV, several kids at the time. Good to see you, Jules, the Northwest. Let me see what else we have here. The kids were his property. Pure evil. I don't think he meant it like that. He explained he was expecting a fight. I'm surprised. His language was atrocious. Terrible. Judge was not happy. Poor kids. Jigsaw puzzler, yeah. I have a question for you, Mommy, and has already tried emailing you. Oh yeah, I did tell her, yeah, your email, Gigi Gypsy, right. I can't respond to your email. I tried. Just came in, what's going on? We're talking about the Jones trial. I'm trying to see your questions here. He was arguing with the prosecution a bit. Did you see that part near the end? Did they start cross-examining him? Because I missed that part. I'm still on the defense. You've got to go shower, Tico. Great recap, Carolyn. Can you imagine being the poor babysitter who has to be in the room with little Tim and all the kids? Yeah, and when they went to Disney? I found that Amber... What? Did he say he's sorry? You answered that one. Two Scooter says, I felt Tim Sr. was being honest and not sugarcoating how he felt. He said he loves Amber and he wants to get out what happened. Family saga makes him seem like a bed of roses. Mommy, I sent you a long email. Yeah, I haven't been... My day has been crazy because was watching the trial, and then I had a bunch of phone calls and I had to do things for my kids for school. Drugs, alcohol, and violence runs through that family. We're shocked to find out the grandmother was the violent one and wore the trousers. Yes, he said that too, right? That his mother, definitely wore the pants in that family. You think some people want to call in? Okay, did people email me to call? You have to email me if you want to call in to talk about this. We're going to talk about the Jones trial right now and what happened today. So that's what you're going to, call in about, if that's what we're talking about right now. So let me see here. I'll see if anybody emailed in. Okay. Yeah, Gigi, I don't know. You have some kind of, I don't know, like a spam prevention thing, but it's charging people to email you. So you might want to take that off your account, because my email is being returned and it will not be delivered unless I pay for it. Okay, so Chatty Cathy says, "Hi Carolyn, I've only been watching bits and pieces of the Jones trial. Some of it I can't stomach. Honestly, if not for Amber having come on that live that night, I probably would have passed on watching any of it. She broke my heart and I need to support her. I see a lot of the live feed in recess. We will be back when both sides return. My question, are the live viewers only seeing exactly what the jury sees? Or are the live viewers able to hear the sidebars, objections, discussions, without the jury being present? I'm curious as to whether the jury has a different picture than the gallery people. My second question, I'm not sure if this was Jones' case or McNabb. Did the judge tell the audience they cannot get up and leave the courtroom while the jury is there? I saw in comments on the news channel's live feed people complaining about coughing, and they should just leave. But I think once they're sitting in the courtroom, they are required to stay until the next break. On a personal note, I love the channel, and I'm excited to see it growing. Your big heart comes right through the screen. Thank you, Kathy." Okay, I'm not sure. I think thought I saw people leave, but I'm not sure on that one. Maybe someone knows in the chat. You can put that down. And are the live viewers only seeing exactly what the jury sees? Well, the jury is not going to see when they go into the judge's chambers. They're not privy to any of that, because they're discussing objections and everything. So if something is, sustained, then the jury's not going to see it. So they can't discuss, they can't see that. I hope that answers your question there. Now, all right, so okay, Cowgirl, I got your email. Yeah, and Cowgirl is expressing that there are some people in the comments, I guess on those trial videos, saying some pretty atrocious things about Amber that are not true, calling her a child molester and a child predator. And Cowgirl's very worried that it's going to really break her, because if she hasn't been through enough already, she has to deal with people saying these things that are not true and not fair. So yes, I agree. I think, I don't know what is the best thing to do here. I think she knows that we support her, and if she does listen. So Amber, if you are listening to this, we do support you here. We understand that there's going to be some testimony and comments that are not going to be nice, but we do understand that what's true and what's not true, and you loved your children, and we're here to support you. So please know that, because this is not easy for you to get through, and don't think that these lies or anything sway us. And the comments, I would not even trouble yourself with comments on those trial videos, because you have a lot of keyboard warriors that will say anything, and you don't know why they're saying it, who they're saying it, and they just do things like that. So I wouldn't even read those comments. Okay, let me just get numbers here. I've got, now this is important to the callers that are coming on. Please, you must mute yourself when you are not speaking, okay? And you have to be courteous of when someone's speaking, okay? I know that, and we can do it too. You want to jump in on something, but if you're constantly cutting off another caller and they can't get a complete thought out of their mouth, it makes it sound crazy. Okay, so please try to be courteous. Put yourself on mute when you can unmute and speak, but let everyone have a chance to talk. If you talk over everyone, no one can hear anything anyway, and it just sounds like a crazy house. So just relax. Everybody will get a turn to speak. Nobody's, just calm down and just try to be courteous. Okay. So let me go back to... Oh, Vaughn Solo, who told it, you've got something here. Carolyn, first, as I said before, I'm not an attorney. I'm a South Carolinian who can Google. That said, according to the last night's show, there is still confusion about what happens to Jones if he's not found guilty by reason of insanity. I provided links to the sites used. South Carolina law addresses mentally ill or insane defendants in South Carolina Code Section 17-24-10. South Carolina law holds that not guilty by reason of insanity is an affirmative defense, and a defendant, as a result, from mental disease or defect, in the Jones case, mental disease, schizophrenia, defect, fractured skull from a traumatic brain injury, TBI, lacks the capacity to distinguish at the time of the offense moral or legal right. Oh, hang on, let me put this. I'm just going to put you on mute, caller, until I finish this, okay? Legal right or wrong to recognize the particular act charged to be legal or morally wrong. Apparently, there's a legal difference between distinguish and recognize because both are used in the statute. Defendant has the burden of proving the defense of insanity by a preponderance of the evidence, a lower bar than the prosecution's burden of beyond a reasonable doubt. Finally, evidence of a mental disorder or defect that is only manifested by repeated criminal or antisocial conduct is not sufficient to prove insanity. That is why the defense is producing so many witnesses saying Jones was friendly, talkative, and easy to get along with socially. They aren't highlighting that he's an ex-con because they don't want to draw attention to his previous criminal history, and they keep pointing out that spice was legal in South Carolina in 2014, therefore not repeated criminal behavior. The defense is capitalizing on Jones's mother's diagnosed schizophrenia, which can be genetic. As a belt and suspenders approach, the fact that he did not suffer a TBI, traumatic brain injury, and still bears the depression in his skull, a TBI, and still bears the depression in his skull, they are throwing that in the mix in the event that the jury doesn't buy the new schizophrenia diagnosis. What's the difference between being not guilty by reason of insanity and being guilty but mentally ill? The statute goes on to explain that being guilty but mentally ill is at the time of commission of the act, the defendant has the capacity to distinguish right from wrong. But because of the mental disease or defect, he lacks the capacity to conform his conduct to the requirements of the law. Basically, that he could not control his impulses. Again, the burden to prove having been mentally ill at the commission of his act is on the defendant and is based on a preponderance of the evidence. Here the defense is layering on all kinds of reasons why, if the jury doesn't buy the insanity plea, they could find he was mentally ill. His traumatic brain injury, his mood swings, his drug use, which often go hand in hand with mental illness, his upbringing in an environment that included drugs, alcohol, domestic violence, as described by his grandmother, his family history of mental illness, his weird behaviors, and wrong-headedness on many issues such as religion, discipline, etc. They are bringing all this up in the experts and defense witnesses' testimony, according to get the jury to decide that if he wasn't insane, he surely was mentally ill. Back to the statute law. With this plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, the triers of fact, meaning the jury, will decide on one of 4 possible verdicts. Number 1, guilty. Number 2, not guilty. Number 3, guilty by reason of insanity. Or number 4, guilty but mentally ill. So what is the result of any of these 4 potential verdicts? Back to the statute. Number 1, guilty. In this case, it is being tried as a potential death penalty case. If the verdict is guilty, the jury will go on to the penalty phase and decide if he should be put to death or given life without parole. In South Carolina, there are 2 ways to be put to death: the electric chair or by lethal injection. Unfortunately, the manufacturers of the drugs used for lethal injection are refusing to sell the drugs to South Carolina for such use, which leaves the electric chair. South Carolina lawmakers are considering the use of firing squads, but the legislation does not appear to have made it through this past session and therefore probably won't be available if the verdict is guilty in this case, since it probably would have to have been the law at the time of the verdict, but one can hope. 2, not guilty. Not a possibility here because he's already confessed his guilt. 3, not guilty by reason of insanity. This sentence is fully laid out in the statute we have been discussing in the South Carolina Code section 174440. It's long and involved, but you should read it to fully understand. In a nutshell, it says the judge must order the insane defendant committed to the South Carolina State Hospital not to exceed 120 days, meaning it could possibly be for less than 120 days or 4 months. During that time, the person will be examined to determine the need for hospitalization. A report will go to the chief administrative judge, currently in Lexington County, to determine that judge is Lee. The county solicitor, Rick Hubbard, is the lead prosecutor in this case. The person, Tim Jones, and Jones's attorney. Within 15 days from receipt of the report, the chief admin judge will hold a hearing to decide if Jones needs further hospitalization. Note, this is not a prison hospitalization. If the judge finds the person not to be in need of further hospitalization, the judge may order the person released under such conditions. If any, the judge determines appropriate for the safety of the community and the well-being of Jones. Unbelievable, I know. If the judge finds Jones needs further hospitalization, she can have him committed to a state hospital at some later date. If the officials of the state hospital determine Jones no longer requires hospitalization, they will notify the chief admin judge for Lexington County and all parties, and within 21 days a hearing will be held to determine if further hospitalization is required. If the court determines the need for continued hospitalization, the court will order further commitment. If the court finds no further hospitalization is needed, Jones will be released under such conditions. If any, the judge determines appropriate for the safety of the community and the well-being of others. Here's the kicker. The judge can only set such terms and conditions that are therapeutic, meaning for treatment of the insanity, and not punitive, meaning not as punishment. It goes on to say that any therapeutic terms must include continued use of medications, periodic psych exams, periodic reports to the probation officer. The chief admin judge will retain jurisdiction over the person. Finally, it describes what happens if the person is committed to the supervision of the South Carolina Department of Mental Health and the Department of Mental Health's responsibilities. Number 4, guilty but mentally ill. I've read in the newspaper that if this is the verdict, then Jones can't get the death penalty, but instead would get life without parole. I don't see that in the statute, South Carolina Code 17-24-10. I've also reviewed Title 17, Chapter 25, which deals with conviction and sentence, but I don't see it here. Here's the link. It gives me a link. I did see a South Carolina Supreme Court opinion, State versus Wilson, which holds that a verdict by guilty but mentally ill does not necessarily take death off the table. A cursory review of that case seems to say it all depends on the circumstances of the act charged. I don't know if this is still a good case law. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens if that is the verdict. Okay, so that's a lot of information from Von Solo again, who is the one that's been giving us information about the proceedings in the South Carolina, Lexington County. So let me just see here. We have someone watching because I mentioned my lip reading skills, and now they are covering their mouths and writing notes. Oh, in the courtroom? Jimmy did notice notes the other day, yeah. I'm just trying to see if you had any questions about that. Okay, so let me see who our caller is. Hello, caller. Caller, are you there?
Hi, hold on. Hi, sorry, I was coughing.
Oh.
Hi.
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 What's going on? Can't hear you.
Sorry. I have like a sort of a little different. I'll talk very slow. I'm not going to sniff.
Okay.
I've been practicing.
All right, so I'm going to put myself on mute, and I'm going to
No,
try.
I have to ask you something first.
Okay.
So I have like I just want to make it clear too, but I have a sort of a different, not a different viewpoint, but I'm going to be like, I'm not not that I'm not going to hold back, but I don't want it to be perceived as like I'm on one side or the other, or I'm against one side or the other. I mean, I just think it should be like, that's why I was so passionate about saying like Amber is not on trial, but I feel like, but then she's also not, you know, like you just always defend, and I'm not saying we are, I'm just saying like, look at what they say about Schneer. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think it's probably more sensitive to it because we know her, you know? I mean, Schneer, like, look what they're still tearing Schneer apart. So, I mean, I just, like I said, I don't want to be perceived just because I did, you know, politely disagree or, you know, whatever. I just,
they want to know, okay, caller, introduce yourself because people would like to know who's on the phone.
They don't know. Just kidding. I am BBT. Richard.
Okay. So
BBT
I'm going to put myself on mute so I can
all right.
speak for Cowgirl, okay?
Well, because some of it was to what you were saying, so.
Okay, let me just put myself on mute. All right.
All right, bye. Why does she talks after she mutes herself? So, well, like I said, I'm not choosing sides or anything. If Amber's listening, that's like, I'm very, obviously, it's horrible. But, so I think I came away with like between, I really liked what that his father said. I did. I think he was extremely, extremely honest. And the reason I think that, and that judge, he did not want to tell him to stop swearing. Hey, look how long it took him. That wasn't his first swear, you know. And I think there's a lot to be said for you know, a pro swearer as myself. The way he was just articulating everything, he was in his zone. He was not lying. I mean, whether he was accurate or not, that's to be determined by evidence. But his truth. That was his truth. Not a shred of a doubt. And he said very, very right up front, you know, I don't think either one of them were worthy. Like, I mean, that was, he did not seem to, it was like, essentially, I took it as he was going back and forth. He was saying, that's how he told, I think that's how he testified. Just what he said. Neither one of them are worthy. What that means, who knows? It could mean worthy of a sleepover, worthy of, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean worthy of not having the children. He didn't say that. So, you know, he just said they're not worthy of, you know, taking care of, worthy of, I think he meant like, and I would have to agree, they're kids. They should have the most, nobody should, you know, you should be on your most, you know, are they perfect? No, I don't think that's what he's saying, but they could have done better and they both were capable of doing better. And I think that's pretty honest. And I don't know. So I really truly did like what he had to say. You know, I mean, you know, I think when he stopped him from swearing, I think he was trying to choose his words. And that's if you want honest and raw testimony, let him. I know it's a fine line. I do. But he wasn't swearing about people. You know, that's just how he talks. look at like the McNabb trial. I mean, like, what is he going to say to them? Wear nicer clothes, take your tattoos off. I mean, that's that's who they are. You want their experience. They'll, I don't know. Anyways, I don't think that judge wanted to stop him. I don't. I think he, obviously, because he took so long. Anyway, so that's my first thing. And then I think the way he was saying things, I did believe him. I mean, maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't know. I would love to see testimony. I would love to see anything that's true proved otherwise. And I think like what he was saying, like what Carolyn was saying is like, and that's where I just disagreed with Carolyn. Like, where she said like, I feel like what he was saying was he understood why Amber hated that place. He totally did. He was not saying that she was right. I think he was saying, and he almost felt bad. I felt like he felt a little like, like he probably felt guilty. Obviously, he was there for a week. He even said it like round the clock fixing that place up. So he clearly cared enough to put an effort into it. If he hated Amber that much, he wouldn't do that. Trust me, I have in-laws that don't like me. They don't come around for either one of us if they don't like you. So, I feel like what he was saying was is at least Tim had a plan. He wasn't saying it against Amber, but I think he was proud that he had anything. And I mean, do you have to give him credit for that? His intentions were in the right. Who are we to, I don't know. I just got stuck on that. Like, so if he brought home a mansion, he would what? Not be, not be what? Like, at the very least, he thought it through. He put down, you could see where his effort was going. He didn't put it on, if you bought it on credit, what would we all say? What an asshole. He just went over his limits and he just charged the whole house on his, who are they to get a nanny? And, so I don't know. I think they were putting, and he was helping. I just think that was, I believed what he said. I did. I believed it right up until lifting the kid out of that playpen. I mean, we've all been there. Like, that does not say that she's not there. I've never been there, and I'm sure that most people haven't. However, that's not to say that he didn't even badmouth her. Did he badmouth what the baby was like? Yes, he did. But he was essentially saying this baby is so wet. He wasn't like, she's a bum, she's this. He didn't say that. If he did, I didn't hear it. We could perceive that, but that's not what he said. And he also blamed his son a lot more. He blamed his son, I thought. He painted his son exactly how his son is. I mean, he's immature. I mean, so then think about that. He's immature, yet he looked so proud when he said he bought that trailer. That's what he was. Okay, he's immature. He loves his son, clearly. He loved Amber, you could tell. And then he buys a trailer. I think his father was like trying to get anything that he could get onto, and that's where he held on to it. So anyways, but I think that's a huge point though, because that trailer that's gonna come up. Because look what happened. He was right. He said they fell apart right after that. She decided right then and there, however it was, whether she was right or wrong, who knows, but that was her, determination. What he said about not fighting for the kids, that's where I think I not disagreed with, but I just saw it differently than Carolyn. Like, he didn't say like, I didn't take it as like, just take the kids or leave the kids to be a two weekender hero. I think he meant that in a, don't fight. You're never going to get the kids. Every mother deserves the kids. That's what I think he was lining it up with. I could be wrong, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't saying, I think he was expecting there to be a fight. He's saying like, your odds are against you. They got 5 kids. Fine. If that's the way she wants it. If she wants to fight you, then be the every other weekend hero. And then that's not how it went. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that was the road he was going down. Now, then again, she didn't fight. She didn't go to court. She could have, whether she has representation or not. What he was saying is, that's just a fact. I mean, she didn't petition the court. She did pro se litigate. There's pro se all the time. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing that she petitioned the court. I'm not saying she should have. I'm not saying she could have been morbidly depressed sitting on the couch with the baby. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that I heard what he said. I think he was very powerful. He was very honest. And I think that's probably the best testimony I feel like that's come so far. We have professionals that didn't even read his prescriptions. Here's a father that's saying, he essentially said he's not crazy. I mean, he's not insane. So, I mean, he if anything, he proved Amber's case. But I feel like he the things that he was saying, I took him at, maybe I'm naive. I've never believed someone more in my life, but I really did. I didn't think he was exaggerating. He didn't. Is it like I said? It's his belief. Is it right or wrong? That's for evidence. But I don't think he was I don't think he had an agenda. That's what I guess I feel like. He didn't have an agenda one way or the other. He's going to naturally err on the side of his son, but he essentially didn't do that. So I don't know. I feel like those little points that he was making, and he didn't like. That's where I said Carolyn didn't understand my thing. I said he didn't say it was a mess. Like she said, oh, he said it was a mess when he got to. He said a bomb went off. That's worse. He was trying to. He corrected them. He said no, like a bomb. It was. I don't know how they got it that messy. So he didn't say her. He didn't say him. He said they. And you know what I'm saying? Like he knew what it was like when he left. He didn't say it was livable. He said he didn't blame her. But a bomb went off is very different. What the hell are they doing, both of them? And then it just goes back to they're not worthy. Like I think that I don't know. Like I don't know. That's where I took it as he was talking way more. The situation when he went back there to get the kids or whatever was happening during that time was way more like concerning and dire straits than I think that like some people perceive it as. Like it's just a mess. If they're like can't get their stuff together, and like it was more about it being a complete. I mean, every single person that testified said he absolutely knows what he's doing. In fact, he's that just goes back to he doesn't have an 80 IQ when they're all saying like, oh, he knew what he was doing. If he wanted more extra money, he'd get a side job by tomorrow. He'd know how to get the extra money. He'd know how to get the investment into it. And the trailer proves that. Whether it's right or wrong, that was an intentional effort to put them in somewhere. Like I said, it could have been a clubhouse. Who knows? Could have been a hotel room. It just showed that he knew what he had to. He's making an effort, a concerted effort. It could have been crap, and it could have been the wrong effort. But you know what I'm saying? Like it didn't. I think that shows the opposite of insanity. He was very intentional. He's very determined on what he thought. Like that's a very. And then the parents came and helped him out. I mean, that's very, very like plausible. It's very you can see it, And I think where he's saying like just stop having kids. We say that all the time. Everybody says, why are they having more kids? And not necessarily anyone specific, but I think that's where he's coming from, like in the whole, like, God will take care of that. Carol is dead right. That's exactly what we meant. Like God will take care of things like that we shouldn't do. Like, so if you're, the whole thing, like if you're not supposed to, when you're like, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of an example, but, like that was confusing when he first said that. Like, what is he talking about? Is he God's doing something like trying to stop it? I think he was saying like, if you shouldn't have 5 kids and what happened is horrible. However, it's God taking care of what we can't do ourselves is exactly what he said. But he also talked about that religion. He's right. I mean, I was asking Carolyn today, I'm like, what the heck is this? I never even heard of this. So what do you mean they're flopping on the ground? I can't even I still can't. I read about it. Cannot wrap my head around this. He's right. What he's saying is, and he didn't tear it apart. He didn't say like, oh, he was, I thought he was very neutral. I don't know. I just, like I said, I guess I'm one of the only ones that, because I didn't think that so Amber didn't change a diaper. Why is that so like, oh, he shouldn't say that about poor Amber, like, I get what they're saying. There are loads going on. It's horrible, but there's a lot more to that. Amber's not on trial. She's not. So I don't know. I just, like I said, I just think like, I think he was, I can't wait to hear him tomorrow. I think he is, I don't know. I just have never felt someone be so honest. And like I said, the way you can tell is that he's just flowing in cards like I'm doing right now. I'm not making something up right now. You can hear like how, he just flows that whole testimony, and he's not answering questions. He's telling a story. Like I said, is it accurate? Who knows? He's telling his story. So, I mean, that's for the opposing counsel to decide whether they're going to discredit him or not. That's done by evidence. He can tell whatever he wants. But think of the people we've seen be so think of the other parents. Hello, Watts Senior. I mean, talk about like he's so intentional with what he wants about Shanann. And they planted a picture, okay, of Shanann. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't feel like that to me. I don't know. I'd be curious what other people thought, but I mean, you know, like like I said, I'm not comparing, but like I said, I mean, think of the Watts. I mean, very, very like, and I feel like Shanann's parents were not as intentional either, but because I guess what I feel like with them is that they were so specific to say he was so great. Chris was a good father. Chris was a great dad. He was a great husband. I agree, but it didn't come out like this. Like they were trying to show us, listen, this is what we thought of him. He's great. Still the great thing. I just liked how this father presented it. You know what I mean? I feel like it was very natural. He wasn't answering questions. That's the best part. He wasn't answering any questions. He didn't have time to think. He was just telling what he thought. And it all made sense to me. Every bit of it. So I don't know. I feel like I said, I think that's the most valuable that I've heard so far. Everything else between the psychiatrist and all these babysitters, they're all collaborating with him, honestly. It's all about his son, not about Amber. But I mean, like I asked Carolyn today, I said, did anyone hear anything about Amber? Like, you know, I'm just curious either way. Like, has she ever been interviewed by, like, not DCF, because I think Carolyn said she was, but like the school? Did the school ever contact her? And I'm not asking in any specific way. I just didn't hear anything like that. Like, you know, this one said that, the teacher said this. Did they ever sit down with Amber? I just haven't found it if they did. So I don't know if anyone has that, but so I'm going to cough now. So if you could come on, Carolyn.
Okay. Wow. That was.
What now? What I do
No.
now? What?
It was just a little difficult with a little hemming and hawing, but okay. So let's see what everybody says about what you said here, because I was too concentrated to look at that. If you want to call in, you need to send the mommy an email and give a number. Yeah, John. Random guy.
What did you say? I was hemming and hawing?
Well, like, because you were just going like, well, I don't know. Well, maybe that's the way I see it, but maybe I don't. And then maybe that's the way it is, but maybe I don't. So it was hard when you were trying to lip sync, you know. Okay.
I wasn't lip syncing.
No, I am.
Oh, you're doing that? I didn't know you were doing that.
Yeah. So it was hard because you were like backtracking. I was going back,
on?
you know, this is what she thinks, this is what she doesn't think.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were doing that. I didn't.
Oh, I thought
why don't
you
you put
heard
your closed caption on?
It doesn't work like that on here.
Oh, all right.
Okay, you need a
I have mine
third-party
on.
app or something. Okay, I'm trying to see what everybody's saying.
What does BBT stand for?
He really doesn't want his son to die. Cassandra said, I think the testimony was truthful. He just got too comfortable. He saw good and bad in both. I think he did a good job, Just Crystal said. Hey, Christina and the Ramblers, can I ask my question with you guys about the Jones case? Yes, Danielle, you can ask. Little Timmy was a cheapskate beyond belief, except when it came to buying Crown Royale and other drugs for himself. That's what Truth Seeking Gal said. Sheila said, Ivy Lynn, my heart hurts for Amber. I think Teacup said, I think Tim Jr. became enraged when Nathan confessed to Amber on the phone. He killed him because he felt betrayed, and thus he went on the killing spree. Okay, he would have been so mad at Tim going out and buying the trailer, Carla says. He seemed tipsy to me, Cheryl said. Judy Barron said, I agree with the caller. I felt he was honest. Nikki E. says, I agree with what you're saying, BBT, about his father. His stepmom also impressed me. She came across really well on the stand. Angel Callie said, I would have snuck food to the kids. Allie Cattail said, call in with video, please, Ramblers. Wildlife said the mobile home was to keep her way out away from everyone and pregnant, which kept her tied to him, a form of control. Random Guy Jeff said, Cowgirl up.
And it could have been, but that wasn't what they were talking about. Like, it could have been. Like, that's what I guess I'll just driving home with that, because that's not, I'm not saying that there weren't other intentions or anything. It could have absolutely been that was his plan, and it could have been that's what she knew. However, that's not what they were discussing. That's not what he said. He said they were talking about the state of it, exactly the state of it, the mess of it, the livable conditions, the condition. That's what that's what's up for. That's what it's. Because then you could get into like, oh, well, he thought he was going to make a profit off of it, and when do you stop? Like you can't, I mean, he actually did say that. you throw $5,000 into something, I mean, you could rent it out. I mean, like, I think he was trying to, I think that poor father was so thrilled that this kid did something, not kid, but you know what I'm saying, in Boston we call everybody kids, but if he did something so, potentially responsible. He first words out of his mouth is he's 13 going on, or whatever, 26 going on 12.
16 going on, 26 going on
whatever.
16.
Yeah. So I think that's how I perceive the father was just hanging on this, like, he's going to fix something up, and I'm going to help him. And my parents did the same thing for me. We didn't buy a trailer, and we didn't buy that. But, essentially that's every father's, like, little dream with their grandkids. And, I just, my father still fixes up. Like, that's how I saw it,
Hi, Joan. Who's on the other line?
It's Debbie. It's Debbie.
Debbie. Okay.
Can you put my name on the photo? You're not seeing me today. I haven't had watched it.
Okay. Which one is Debbie? Which one are you? Are you under me or?
Let me have a look. It's. I'm just trying to work it out.
No, I'm under you, Carolyn. I'm under you.
Okay. Okay.
I'm looking for some identifying.
Will you say iPhone now? Yeah.
It says virtual background. I wonder what will happen if I stick that.
I don't know. So I'll just put you on mute for a minute, Debbie, so we can check in with Joan, and then I'll unmute you. Okay. One second.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Now, Joan, what's going on?
I watched that thing a couple of times today, and I thought that the babysitters were truthful. Basically, in my mind, if I was on the jury right now, that guy would be going to prison. There has been too much testimony about how he functions normally. And everybody, when they go through a divorce, gets depressed and does all that kind of stuff. But to put your kids in a blanket and throw them in the car for a couple days and then think about it and then drive around for a week, that is a little bit over the top. And the fact that he, I know this is insanity. I don't know how you divide insanity. First of all, anybody that goes out and kills anybody, that's insanity. But to go out and do the things that this man did is beyond insanity. It was the steps he took, the time he took, the whole business of what he did was, like they've stated, Tim he always thought ahead. He always went, he had a plan. He carried it out. And just the fact that he has taken every single member of his family, in-laws, outlaws, or whoever the heck you want to call it, and destroyed their lives because of his inability to cope or find somebody else that would help is not an excuse in my book. The man is guilty as sin. He went in there, he choked 3 of them out, and then put a belt to the other 3. And with the testimony from the babysitters, oh my God, today I thought the guy should have been locked up a long time ago. And this had nothing to do with insanity. This had to do with a guy that was totally out of control. I mean, for God's sakes, his dad was out of control. His whole life, or his whole family, was out of control. And that's so true of everybody in our extended families and whatnot. I mean, you, Mommy, just got done talking last night about some relative that goes through women because they ain't the right size. I mean, anybody could sit there and say, well, he's insane, or that person's insane. We don't know that. We have no idea what is going on in somebody else's mind. But to take 5 innocent children, innocent, if you want to do away with your spouse, so be it. If you want to do away with, whatever. But a child, 5 children, and you want to feed them oatmeal all day because what? $80,000 doesn't pay enough for, 2 boxes of 40, chicken McNuggets. I mean, that's wrong. And I don't care who they are or what they think. The guy is absolutely tipped over the planet. And you heard every single woman that was the babysitter talk about his religion and the insanity that comes out of that. I mean, poor Myra. She's out there on the beach. First time she gets out on the beach, and she's in a long dress. I mean, come on. You have taken these children and made them into some crazy belief in your head. You haven't made them into children. You've made them into some ideology you have in your religion. And every single one of those babysitters said, he said, a woman is to be seen, not heard. That's not right. It's never been right. The Bible was formed for us to have a guide, not to say that everything in it is 100% true, because it was written by man. It wasn't written by God. And it was like the bylaws that we come up with laws today, thou shalt not kill, you shall not steal. And this guy has done everything and pretty much anything that he can do prior to all this to break the cycle of what he's trying to profess. I mean, he was no angel. But to take a belt after a 2-year-old and to take a belt and strangle the youngest 2, that is absolutely bullshit. Well, it's bull. And it's wrong that we're sitting here in this day and age and spending all the money that we're spending on these stupid court testimonies where a psychiatrist spends 3.5 hours talking to a guy that he knows nothing about. And the bottom line is that this whole thing should have been over with and done with 5 years ago. The guy should have been in the penitentiary for life. He killed 5 precious kids. And that's the bottom line. We're spending all this time wondering if he did it or didn't do it. No, he did it. And he confessed to it. Whether he choked Natan out or Natan died of natural causes, he did nothing to help that child. Instead, he does the opposite. And I think that anybody that kills anybody has gone through some mental problem. But to sit there on a court day after day and waste the time that we have seen and the amount of money that has gone into this is the biggest sin around. These kids deserve so much better. They deserve something more than this kind of sideshow. And I'm kind of irritated with the whole damn thing. And you know, his dad can get up and say, well, you know, he was a good kid and he was this and he was that. And the babysitters can get up and they could say the kid ate oatmeal every day. But Jesus, you know, where were the people that were adults really fighting for this kid? Not every single adult involved in this case was a schizophrenic, was not court ordered to be in the institute. And you can't even look at the family dynamics from the outside, from the grandmother to the father to anybody, and say that their home life was wonderful. But it's really not too much different than anybody else's childhood, any ones that I've ever grown up with. And I have 6 brothers and sisters, and ain't one of them gone out and chopped somebody up or axed somebody to death because they didn't get a pat on the back or they didn't get the special love that they deserved or whatever the case may be. This is just another political crap where we sit there and day after day after day and we sit and watch the same scenario while a guy that is so highly intelligent and is doped up, supposedly overdoped, can sit there if you watch him and he writes down questions for the defense. Now, if I was, you know, they used to call it the Thorazine shuffle. Well, this guy should be in the Thorazine shuffle. He should be just not able to walk or talk or do anything. But he seems like he's pretty well capable of poking the defense when they need to stand up and poking the defense when he wants to make a point and poking the defense when he wants to, you know, show him something. And it's like he's more in tune than any of us are. The man is smart. Amber tried to tell him that. The man is smart. The grandmother, the father, everybody has done nothing but say this man is smart. Well, he's smart enough to know how to try to find a way out of this. And if his butt goes to getting his insanity plea in 20 or 30 years, he'll be out doing the same crap. And that's not right for Natan, Gabriel, Elias, Elaine, and I know I'm missing another one.
Mira.
Mira.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's and most of the chat here does as well. It's not a good thing at all, and it's a total waste of time. He knows exactly. He's very coherent with everything. He passes notes back and forth. He's staring the witnesses down. You know, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew how to conceal it and everything else.
Oh, exactly. The look on his face when he is looking at his ex-wife or looking at his dad, or if they say something wrong. I mean, if you could only read probably his mental notes that he's sending to him, is, I hate you, I will kill you.
Yeah, and then he justified it. He said something like, well, one of them would have done something terribly wrong anyway. Like, he justified it that, he was taking care of a problem before it started by killing the kids.
He's an evil man. And if the jury doesn't come back with a total conviction on this, I really wonder about the justice system. And I am one that you have to prove to me, and I've been on 5 court cases, that reasonable doubt is the biggest thing that it always sticks out to me. You better prove it. You better not have any doubt in my mind. Well, I'm telling you, watching this thing, there's no doubt in my mind. This man is pure evil. And that he did what, I didn't even know about the deal with going out on the beach and her saying, he tried to call him out into the waves. And I'm like, this man is pure evil. Pure evil. And it's really sad that that's what we have in the world today. And I feel for Amber. Even a father-in-law couldn't really dog her too bad.
Right, absolutely. We all feel for Amber, I think, and nobody is bashing Amber here at all, and she's not the one on trial again, right? So now who else is here? This is let me see, unmute one person. Let me see. Hi, who's this?
Hi,
Oh.
Caroline.
Hi.
Hi, I must be the iPhone. I have put a picture on, but maybe I have to turn it on for it to come through.
Okay.
It's
I'm
a
just
bit
gonna
hard
mute
for me
for a minute.
to watch the
Okay.
the live court hearings because it's on in the middle of the night. I do catch a bit of it. So if I'm saying anything that's incorrect, it's because of that. But what I've seen, first I just wanted to address with Amber, any one of us could be in this position at the moment for whatever reason. There's haters and there's lovers in the world. And it doesn't matter what you do, whether it be right or wrong, you're always going to get people that hate. So it could be me sitting there, it could be Mummy, it could be any one of us, not particularly about this case, but something else. And when you're put out into the public arena, you're going to get people that just want to knock you. They have no substance for that reasoning. It's just their personality, or they haven't done their research to find out the truth. They've just gone off a simple citing of one episode. So just be knowing that the world isn't judging you. The haters are judging you. The haters don't matter in our lives. We can't live our lives and worry about the haters. Otherwise, we'd all go around the twist. So, what you've been through is more than any mother or even any parent or grandparent can bear. And none of us know what you're going through. But just know that it's not just this community that is supporting you. Any decent human being would be supporting you if they knew where you were at this time. So please don't pay attention to the haters. I know it's very, very difficult. Just please don't read any of the comments on the court documents. You know, it's the same as a celebrity. If the celebrities, they get portrayed in the news all the time, and you know, most of the times it's sensationalized. It's not correct, and so how they cope with that is one of two things. They either choose not to look at it and ignore it, or they look at it and it eats them up. So you're in a little bit of that scenario that you really need to not look at the haters, because they're there. They're all over the world, and it doesn't matter. You know, Mother Teresa probably would have had haters. So that's my message to you. Just have a little think about it in that perspective and see if that helps you. But, you know, no, it's not just us in the community that's supporting you. Any decent human being would be supporting you today. So that was my message for Amber.
Okay, I have a quick message to clear up. Someone in the chat said something about Amber being charged for animal abuse. That never happened. Tim was charged with animal abuse. So I just want to clear that up once and for all. Also, I have it on good authority. The diaper incident never happened. And Tim left for South Korea when Amber lost the stillborn baby. So that is also was not portrayed correctly in court today from his father. And let me see if I have anything else to clear up here.
I think that just goes to show you,
Yeah.
you know, what we're talking about is, you know, I could say anything. And is it the truth? Not necessarily. So you know what's the truth. That's the thing that matters most. You know the truth.
Right.
And just disregard the haters. Because you know what? That's how they get off. Why do you think we have trolls? I mean, I don't know. The world's full of crazies. And hopefully the good people outnumber the crazies, and we just have to live with that hope. Secondly, with the case, I mean, I said I agree with the previous caller that unfortunately this is the system that we have to go through, because if he just pleaded guilty, maybe he would have got the death penalty, or, you know, he's hoping that he will get an insane verdict. I don't know in America, I can't tell, but in Australia, this is what I believe. And I know you did read stuff before. I couldn't listen to it all because I'm working, but in Australia, I think that if you're committed insane, generally you would go to a hospital of some degree. I understand in America that might not be the case, but you also serve a much lower sentence, because if you're considered insane, they will treat you with medications. And once they can consider that your medications are controlling your illness, you know, you can be out. Someone that wasn't considered insane might have got a life sentence, but someone insane may end up getting like an 8-year sentence or a 10-year sentence. And that's how it works over here, I believe. But with the process of the court hearing, it's just something we have to go through. And of course, anybody that's there for Tim Jr. is going to try and paint him, you know, to get the outcome that he wants. So, and that's what the defence is doing. They're trying to manoeuvre the jury to sway towards Tim Jr.'s side and say he's insane. Now, they're going to continue to do that. No use us arguing or, you know, worrying about what they're saying. But I don't believe they've proved that in any shape or form. I believe that, yes, he was affected by drugs, but you know, he's a very controlling person. In any religion, you can have a standard religion. So if you have a Christian, they may be a Christian or a Catholic, but there's also radical Christians, radical Catholics. And these are the people that take every single thing out of the Bible literally and interpret it in their own way. I would say that he was probably a radical. Now, talking about his religion, if he has such strict religious beliefs, why was he living with a woman before they were married? Why was he having sex before he's married? You can't take a little bit of the religion and follow it and another bit and don't. So there were lots of things that even to a normal Christian or Catholic person, they know that in that religion, you shouldn't be doing those things. But he chose to do them. So it shows you that he picks and chooses what he wants from the religion. And he only pushes what he wants to happen. So he wanted to live this almost Amish lifestyle and have a woman. I mean, really and truly, when you get down to it, a lot of men probably would love to have a woman that, you know, they could boss around a little bit, but, you know, not many of them have them, I don't think. But, you know, he wanted that lifestyle, but he chose to ignore the beliefs that didn't suit him. So all along we can see that he is a very manipulative, he's a narcissist, lots of words. And yes, he did kill his children. And for not 1 second, and I mean, I haven't listened to every single bit of evidence that's come out, but I don't think they've proven in any way, shape or form that he was insane at the time. Maybe he was high on drugs, you know, but that was his choice to take those drugs. So once you make your choice, you have to live with the circumstances. I think so, you know, we've got to go through the process. I think we just be patient. And yeah, we're going to disagree and we probably need to vent about it to each other. But yeah, the process will just go on. You know, I mean, we'll all be terribly, terribly disappointed if he's not, you know, if he is declared insane. There's no way he's not going to be found not guilty. He's going to be found guilty, but he may be guilty by reason of insanity, which is a totally different thing. So, you know, I think that we just have to keep following it, keep supporting Amber as best we can and give her as much love as we can. And, you know, just keep watching and praying and hoping that the jury get it right. But I don't believe they've in any way convinced anybody that he's insane. So that's my 2 cents.
Thanks, Debbie. And I just want to say that someone asked, well, didn't he marry Amber because he couldn't have sex? But Debbie's talking about the girlfriend that was with him, right? Because she's saying, where was his religion then? You know, I think that's who you're talking about, Debbie, the other girlfriend, right? Because he did marry Amber very quickly. So
yeah, that's true. And a lot of his life he didn't live according to the Bible. I mean, the Bible says, you know, I'm sure that Jesus wouldn't be very happy about him doing drugs and, you know,
killing his kids,
Yeah, killing his kids, beating his wife, and drinking to excess that it becomes that he abuses people. I mean, that's Jesus wouldn't want that. So if he has a God that he believes in, he's only following the path he wants to follow. That's what I'm trying to get across.
Right. And somebody asked, what was the smell the babysitter was alluding to? I think he was smoking that spice or whatever in the house before she came because she said it stunk, and then she opened the windows and the doors, but that he was smoking that before he left.
Do you think that secondhand smoke, if he was smoking it in the house with the children, do you think that may have had some effect on the children and that perhaps they may be had been
I bet because regular marijuana can have a contact high, right?
So actually if he did that on the night, one would hope that maybe the children were asleep, you know. I don't know, I'm just saying that maybe it was a good thing that if they had inhaled the secondhand smoke, it may have relaxed them. I don't know. But no one will ever recover from this. I mean, the universe, you know, Amber certainly won't, parents won't, but it's touched us all. And, you know, when we talk about it so much and we watch it so much, it becomes part of our life as well as hers. And, you know, it certainly will have an impact on its life. And I hope that it makes a difference in someone's life. And I don't think, even if he hadn't have done that at that stage, I think that he probably would have done it later anyway. It was a matter of time. If there was no intervention and those children weren't removed from his care, it was only a matter of time before something was going to happen like that. Because, you know, it was clear the path he was on was a path of destruction. And you've heard me talk about, you know, the department that should have stepped in earlier, the relatives that should have stepped in earlier. I mean, for goodness sakes, to see what they saw going on and allow him to keep custody of those children. If I saw my grandchildren living like that, I'd be the first one on the phone to docs, calling them, you know, and saying, look, they won't let me take the kids, but this is what's happening. You need to step in. So there's a lot of people that are responsible, you know. I mean, he holds the ultimate responsibility, but there's a lot of things that could have happened. And, you know, the more, I think, because true crime to me is just new. I fell upon it on the Watts case. But I think it is becoming a little bit of a insurgence now. It's becoming more people are discussing true crime. I was actually, my sister-in-law, my niece just mentioned something. She was watching something. I asked her, she said true crime, and I couldn't believe it. So now the public are getting more access to things like channels like what that you're providing, and we're becoming more aware of true crime. Maybe it makes our tolerance to crime less because we're seeing how much is happening. And hopefully, because it's becoming more talked about in the public, it will start something happening to make changes to the way these things are dealt with, because it's being brought out to the media. That other doctor, he used to be on the doctors, I can't remember his name. He's talking a lot about true crime now. So, I mean, you know, the news comes on, you hear this flash of something happens, and then you move on. But when you invest your time and your emotions into something like this, it makes you angry and it makes you sad. So hopefully with more airing time and there's more people watching these sort of channels, we might be able to come up with a solution or some kind of solution to at least minimising these things that happen. Be on the lookout, you know, for your neighbour, for your children, for your in the shops, you know, in a car park, at the beach.
Okay, I have one more thing to add about that diaper situation with Gabe. The wet diaper never happened because Gabe was not even in the trailer, and a neighbor lady was watching Gabe at the time. He was not even in the trailer.
Do you think that he may have got mixed up with which child it was, what event? I'm not saying
there would have only been one child because Tim had the other three.
Okay. Well, you know, then maybe he's a bit senile too. Anyway, someone else want to have a chat now?
Yeah, let me see who else is here. Who's on this line?
Hi.
Hi.
This is Joanne Dallas.
Hi, Joanne.
Is Debbie finished?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for answering my email about calling in tonight. I'm going to limit myself to 10 minutes. And if I get off topic, can somebody in the chat room just write topic, TOPIC, and then I'll know I've... First of all, as far as victim advocacy, there's an old saying, and old sayings that have been around for years and years are usually repeated because of their value. And one of those sayings is, you don't kick a dog when it's down. And I think any human being with any amount of empathy would look at the situation of Amber and the sudden, unexpected death of 5 of her children and realize that now is not the time to put any shade on her whatsoever. The second point about this trial that bothers me is some of the religious fervor and religious rites where a parent and the adult joins a particular religious affiliation, and then the adult has made the decision to raise their children up in this faith, and this has been socially acceptable for, you know, centuries. Now, as far as baptism, some faiths believe in baptism at birth, and as an infant there, inside the church. Others believe, oh, it must be water. It must be full immersion. Then other religions say, oh, it must be free running water like a river or something. And so in our country, in the United States, that the parents have the right to bring their children up in the faith that they themselves belong to. Now, I remember a case, and I don't know if any of you other ramblers do, but you had a husband and wife who had a male child, one male child, and they were not with a dominant type mainstream religious group, and they believed in this clean diet where, like, they were giving their child, the little boy, lettuce and celery and things that were like clean foods. And this child, you know, died of starvation and that, and it went to court, and the court, there was, you know, went from, let's say it happened in the state of Oklahoma, and then it goes to the Supreme Court of Oklahoma. And they ruled that, you know, the parents had the right to, I wouldn't say inflict, but instill upon their child dietary restrictions that belong to the faith of the parents. So, you know, children are basically the property of the family. And I would dare to say that women also are kind of the property of the husband. And getting back to this particular case, we've got a man who is a software engineer. And I've worked with computer systems and whatnot. And, you know, when you're working and writing the software for a computer, I mean, that's a certain type of brain skill. And he's making an income that's very high. And to take 5 children, and, you know, it's very cost effective. Buy a trailer or a double wide trailer, pay it off, you know, buy it in cash, $30,000, $40,000. But you've still got 5 children and a woman stuck in this trailer 10 hours or so a day while the husband is not there. And then getting back to like homeschooling, which also reflects back onto society, says, well, if you're of this religious belief and you don't want your children going to a, you know, public school system, then, you know, teach your child and we'll provide you with the booklets and this and that. And it's all written so that maybe it's not scientifically accurate about the creation of the earth or how old the earth is or when dinosaurs lived, that kind of thing. So it all goes back to, again, that children have very little rights. And, you know, we expect, like Joan was saying about where were the adults? Where the hell were the adults? And what I'm hearing in this trial is babysitters had concerns and reported, teachers had concerns and reported. You know, I think we can look around just our own neighborhoods and our own involvement. Like, do you even know who your next door neighbor on the right is or on your left? How many children do they have? The fact that 10, was it the Tuppen case where they had something like 10 children marching around at night only? And you think, you know, this has gone on for how many years? How old were these oldest children? And it was never reported. It took a girl to escape from the house and dial 911. And so the victim, you know, the one who's been child abused, is the one that has to actually report it and testify. And there's something wrong with that. We all need a neighbor like Nate. We need a nosy neighbor who knows what's going on, who lives there, you know, what time do they go to work, what time do they get home from work, and how many children are in those houses. And we are accountable to our neighbors. And I'd just like to say, not as a, you know, self-righteousness or anything of that type. I live next door to a woman that had a young girl, a toddler, and she was pregnant out to where her belly button was going to pop. And I could hear her losing her temper through the wall of the condominium. And so I went over and knocked on her door and said, "Hi, my name's Joanne. I noticed you're in the military. I'm in the Navy. I'm stationed right down the street here at Barbers Point, Hawaii. How about if I blah, blah, blah?" And what I did is I took the little toddler boy, brought him over to my house, asked the woman for a diaper and a change of clothing because I wanted to get him bathed and ready for bed because I wanted to look at him. I wanted to see if he was bruised and, look for abrasions and that kind of thing. So I fed him like some macaroni and stuff, gave him a bath, got him in a little diaper. I think he had a sippy cup. He did walk, but he was, still a baby. And when she'd come home from work with the 2 children, and again, she's pregnant out to here. Her husband had abandoned her and was having an affair with someone else. That's what she told me. I carried all her groceries inside the house. So it's like alleviating the burden because those children were in danger of, she was using a leather belt on her children. And I could hear it through the wall, the screaming, the yelling. And I don't just sit in my house and say, oh, that neighbor, Cindy is at it again. You have to get involved. And it is fearful to go knock on someone's door. It is fearful at 2:30 in the morning to go knock on a door because you hear a drunken husband and some banging and the wife cry out, and you go over and he meets you at the front door all glassy eyed, and you're like, "I want to see your wife." "Oh, she's fine." "No, I want to see her." And you have to sometimes throw on the be itchy cape and stand up for your fellow sisters, and in this particular case, it shows everything that's wrong with our society right now, in that we've got the disparage between what the man has, what the woman has. She's dependent on his paycheck. She's stuck in this small space with too many children, and then the whole system, if they're not accountable in the public school system and they're just homeschooled, there is nobody looking out for these kids. And I don't know the definition of legal insanity. I don't understand 50% of what gets brought up in court, but I know it's important, or the lawyers wouldn't go over it to pin something to the wall. And as for like child protective services, they're overworked and undermanned, and they have caseloads and stacks of files and things. And we're paying, our tax dollars are paying for these government services. And I think we all know that, the system isn't really working for the little guy. And then you get somebody like this who has, 5 dead corpses in his car driving around for 2 to 3 days, and then has the gall to try to plead not guilty to try to get a legal insanity. He should man up and just say, "Yes, I'm guilty. I killed them. What is the punishment that my society and my state are going to inflict upon me?" And take it. And, somebody, it was Teacup, was asking in the chat room, "What do you think? Life without parole? Do you think death penalty?" And I'm like, hey, just give him life without parole, because we don't enforce the death penalty anymore. Scott Peterson is sitting up there in Northern California, and he's not been put down. And all this stuff about the injection and the drugs and this and that. The firing squad is fast. Is just as painless, when they aim for the heart, the chest. The guy should be dead before he hits the ground. And I think until American society agrees that we do not accept that people can run around and molest our 2-year-olds, our 5-year-olds, our 7-year-old boys and girls, and just be let out of jail in 4 years and reoffend, because for every child that is, every offender, every perpetrator that has one child and charges brought against him, I guarantee you, statistically, there are 25 kids that we are not hearing about. And this goes for the religion of Catholicism, and the priests and all of that. You know, it just, until the people of America, the women of America, it was Mothers Against Drunk Drivers that got the laws changed about driving around with a cold beer between your legs. And enough women got sick and tired of having their kids clipped, hit, run over, and, you know, by a drunk driver, because it was socially acceptable back then. And then we had laws that we needed to put seatbelts inside cars, and everybody moaned and groaned. And it's a huge, huge ball of wax. And until us women, us mothers, us grandmothers, the aunties come together in little groups and take signs and march in front of the courthouses where there's a media presence, only then, until we get legislation changed, are our little boys and girls going to be safe. This is Joanne Dallas. I thank you for my 10 minutes, and goodbye.
All right, thanks, Joanne. Okay. So let's see. I'm just trying to read what everybody's saying. Women need to help each other up. Elise Hennessy says, not knock them down. Correct. The whole thing, Diana says, is about one thing. Whether Tim was temporarily insane when he killed his and Amber's children. He already confessed to killing his children. You're ready to lobby for body cams on the Department of Family Services. People that go to these houses, there's no accountability. Very true, Janine. That's something, yeah. Very good. 100% this is becoming Christian bashing when the man is not Christian at all. What happened? See if you have anything. There will always be murders, Dorothy says. It's not Amber's fault, homeschooling's fault, the babysitter's fault, religion's fault, women's fault, neighbor's fault. It's Tim's fault completely. Body cams, Teresa says, for children's services is a good idea. Great idea. You had cameras in the house if DHS has ever been there. Angela Kelly says, he isn't insane. Alicia says, this is all about hate and getting even with Amber. Teeny says, I wonder how much longer the trial will be. I think we're getting towards the end and the closing arguments soon. I know I won't be the first to ask, but what happened yesterday, Stephen Swift? I don't know. Our internet went down, and I must have went to go online while it was down, and then I just went to bed after it didn't come on, but then it came on, and people were in here, so very strange. We could install spy cams in their TVs. Whose TVs? The body cam is a very good idea. Two Scooters said something like, that could actually help. Best idea. Now, John, you say body cams on DCFS is not a good idea. Why do you say that? Kathy from Texas says start the movement for the body cams on the Department of Children and Family Services workers, and she will join. Body cams agree, great idea. Body cams could speak for what the children are going through in these homes. Okay. John, you say privacy is part of it? Random Guy Jeff says, how many do you ever hear about CPS actually saving lives or positive conclusions? Bridget says, cams in house is a great idea. I'm so fed up with the way CPS works. It's been like this. And I even know of when they were called on my mom in 1993 and they failed that case too. John says, families deserve privacy, as do the minors. Stephen says, body cams can help both sides. Social care workers over here get lots of abuse. BST says, people who deal with DCFS would act okay if they knew a body cam was there. They would be on their best behavior. Teresa says, John, whose privacy are you worried about? Julie says, let's start a rambling lobby for body cams on all house visits by CPS. And Authentic Audrey said, body cams, good idea, but iffy as minors are involved, legal issues. Kathy from Texas says, body cams could also protect CPS. They sometimes go into very dangerous neighborhoods. And John says, a family that needs services so badly that they deserve cameras is one where the children probably should be removed. Diane says, body cams are a great idea, but of course they would just take the kids out of the home to abuse them. And Jules Freedom says, CPS does save some lives, but that does not get on social media. I believe there needs to be a change, but it's a lot from CPS to courtrooms. We need to start with each of us being more aware. Stephen Swift says, sorry, but where the welfare of kids is concerned, there should be no privacy. And Ali Cattell said, does she just mean body cams during inspections, just to document the state of things, and only use footage to review the case? Cowgirl Up says, no, it means the CPS workers need to wear the cams not installed in the homes. Jules Freedom says we should be involved. VST said, I'm not in favor of body cams in my house or being monitored. Also, DCFS is called sometimes to harass people. Innocent people shouldn't be monitored. Jen says, Stephen Swift Amen. If CPS is even having to be called, they need to be exposed. John says, I'm a court-appointed special advocate, and it's not ever so simple that body cams should be standard operating procedure. And Victoria says, proof is needed before a child can be removed, but the first sign of abuse should make removal immediate. Des Harris said, Joanne, I think that's a wonderful statement, but the thing is, look at the people who kill their kids. They'd not be open to your help. They're sick. They're dysfunctional people. People like that keep stuff hidden. Sakura Girl says CFS will never use body cams. The ineptitude would be laid bare for all the world to see. And Donna says, I think we should have volunteers for CPS, like a candy striper. I would volunteer for that. Tanya says, eyewitnesses are notoriously inaccurate. Cameras are the only true testimony that give you a true account. And Random Guy Jeff said, yes, if the system is so overworked, what are they doing? MJ said, privacy is important, but the kids come first. Footage should only be used if a child is in harm's way. Analyze this said, I would never be a CPS worker ever. Baby Doe said the police wear body cams and so should CPS. Alicia said, yeah, the body cams make the police be on their best behavior and follow the laws correctly. I think it should be put in effect immediately. Something has to be done. These children are dying in too many situations. My daughter was a BST said my daughter was a licensed foster home. DCFS is doing all they can do, but they are paid a ridiculously low wage and they quit all the time. Kids get ditched by families and advocates all the time. Teresa said so many children are dying at the hands of their parents. Janine, the Stella Door says, I would rather have that body cam in my evidence if I was an investigator out at a house. Okay, so Jules says something needs to be done, but it is more than CPS. Courts put these kids back in the homes. All right, so, I mean, it does sound like, I mean, the police go into homes with young kids and can be checking something out with body cams. So what about privacy there? Don't they go on calls about kids, the police, and they have body cams? And I'm sure if they went into a home and it was unfounded and nothing was wrong, and if it was the swatting episode or something, first of all, how could they look bad? It's not going to be them if they got whatever, an episode like that, somebody called it maliciously, but then I don't even think if it was unfounded that they would release that. It's in the cases that are, where the children are in danger. Kathy says innocent people don't have anything to hide but still deserve their privacy. No matter how many laws and cameras put out there, evil people will abuse and murder. I don't think it's a matter of body cams, but protocol. Come on, a plan. You're right. Some foster parents are only in it for the money, but some are awesome, Julie T says. Thousands of men like Tim target women and children. They are evil and cowards. Not one of them would pick on a healthy adult male. I love the body cam idea only because it could save someone's life, Janine says, and that if they want to take it to court, so be it. There are good points to the cops, but there are too many. Oh, there are good points to the CPS, but there are too many children dying, Teresa says. And Cowgirl says, let's get it going. Great point. Well, I mean, they should have skipped the plan and got the kids out of the way, out there away from Tim, VA girl said. Please, let's try, Janine said. Joanne says, look at the mob of outraged people outside the Casey Anthony trial. Any people advocating for these 5 children. Amber Simpson says, be the change you want to see. Joan, just start talking at the camera until mommy notices you. Oh, is Joan trying to get my attention? Hold on. Where's my... Joan, are you trying to get my attention?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Years ago, I was raising three of my children, 2 girls and a boy. And I lived next door to a woman who was raising 5. And they was very young. They was like 6 to infancy, you know. And the husband was an alcoholic, and he would come home and beat the hell out of her. And one night, the oldest ones that could run were running through my backyard. And I went out there and I said, what's going on? And they said, you know, Dad's gone crazy. And so I gathered them all up and I went over to her house. And the cops are out in the front talking to him. And I talked to her and she was telling me that he beats her up quite a bit. And I told her at that point in time, I said, if he ever lays a hand on you again, my door is always open. You come through it anytime you need. And the cops, you know, because, you know, I love policemen, don't get me wrong. But there's an old, good old boys system that runs in place back then. And they wouldn't do anything about it. And so they let him go in the house. And he went in the house. And I told him to his face, the next damn time you lay a hand on her, you will go to jail. It couldn't have been a week later. And my front door sounded like a freight train went through it. And I ran into the hallway and flicked on the light. And there was a woman standing naked with blood running down her, saying that her husband had raped her and that he went to get a gun to kill her, and all her babies were in the house. And all my kids come filing out, like they normally do. And I got them to shut all the lights off and I shut the doors. Now, my house was equipped with every god dang arsenal you can imagine. I could have blew up the whole block if I wanted to. And I went over and I called the police and I asked them to come down and do something with him. And they came to my door and they checked her out and whatnot. And they realized that, yeah, she had been beaten, she had been raped, she had been put through the mill. And they said, well, we'll just let him sleeping off because he's drunk. And I said, no, you're going to go in there and get those kids out of that house. They was babies. And they said, well, we ain't got a key. And I said, well, you get your ass down the street and get the goddamn landlord's key and get up there and get it. And they went up there. They finally did. And they went up there. And this guy had crawled in a 1 by 1 foot space in the attic and hid himself. And they dragged his ass out and he went to jail. And all of her kids were safe and everything was fine. Later on, after he was in jail, she takes his ass back. Now, people wonder why she'd do something like that. Well, it all has to do with money. It all has to do with security. It doesn't mean that she ain't dead today, because honestly, I don't know if she is. She very well may be. But if the cops at the time would have taken the time to do some videotaping and this wasn't the first time they'd been called out to this house. This was like the third, fourth time they'd been called out to the house because they had been there for her, calling him on his domestic abuse. I wasn't afraid of him. But it doesn't matter what I'm afraid of. It matters what somebody else is afraid of. And after about 4 months of him being in the jailhouse, she takes him back, and the next thing I know, they all moved off. So they may have went back to Texas or wherever the heck they came from. But those kids went through hell. I mean, when you see a bunch of toddlers running through your backyard crying because they're scared to death that somebody's going to kill them, that's when the police should have stepped in and said, no, this ain't right. We're taking these kids to DHS or somewhere. So when I listen to this Timothy Jones crap, and I know damn well that the man is nothing to do with insane. He's just playing the system for what the system will offer him. If he can sit in a nut ward for, 20 or 30 years and get out and walk around and be just the same idiot he is today, I mean, that's freedom. Or if he has to go into trial and be convicted of murder and sentenced to life, and he won't have the possibility of parole. That's why he's fighting. He's sitting there running on the back of his mother. He's running on the back of his dad. He's running on the back of his grandmother and all the dysfunction in life, because Every family has dysfunction, but not every god dang family kills their children. And I'm the oldest of 6. And believe me, I grew up in Hell's Kitchen, but ain't none of us done something like that. We all turned out to be human beings.
Yep, surely. I mean, there is something wrong with him, and it's just, I don't even know why they're going through all of this. It's just it's insane. I don't even know how many more witnesses they're going to call. Are they going to finish it up and start closing arguments after the fathers? Are they going to keep going on for days and days?
I don't know, because when you listen to the whole testimony, I mean, really, everybody's saying, no, the guy was totally sane.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's totally sane, what is your end result? I mean, convicted dams, quit wasting taxpayer dollars for this jack off to be running amok. And if you listen to him and you watch him, I don't know how many people have watched him, but he has, if he's on all these meds that are supposed to paralyze you and you can't talk and you can't function, he sure can write a note. He can sure hit his defense attorney and say, you better stand up. He can do all that.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
And if everybody thinks, and who's to say he's even taking the crap? I mean, just because it's prescribed to him doesn't mean he's taking it.
Sure. Yeah. And just that he was doing so many things. He was concealing. He was able to come up with a plan. He had different plans to dispose of the bodies. He had a plan to take money to go to the medical school in the Caribbean. He got into the medical school right there. He sent letters to his brothers. He was so proud of that. Those are not the actions of someone that is insane or that didn't know right from wrong, or that, he knew what he was doing.
And if you listen to anybody that testified, they all said, this is the most intelligent person I've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
They all bring that up. And there's a reason they're bringing it up. It's because that's what he is. He is highly intelligent. He knows how to manipulate the system for his own purpose. This ain't going to be over with, even if it's over. Unless he gets a conviction that says life without possibility of parole. If he gets put into, well, he's insane, funny marks. No, this is never over with. It's never over with for the family, for Amber. And I feel for Amber. I really feel for Amber, because nobody should have to go through this. And I'm going to tell you, I went through a divorce. I had 3 kids. And my ex was just exactly like this guy. And I'll tell you, I don't know how I made it through, but I did. The stuff that people try to portray and do doesn't mean it's real. I remember when I was going through a divorce, I used to sit on the bed with my kids, and I says, well, your dad isn't acting right. And they said to me, they'd say it over and over. Well, that's the way he always acted with us. And I was like, I don't know who you're talking about. Because the man that was showing up in my face at the time was a hateful, crazy, whacked out individual. And they said, no, Mom, he was that way all along, just until you came home. So I think that, the psychic is a funny thing. You just got to love her babies. And if you feel that they're in harm's way, you just get them the heck out of there as much as you can. I was raised basically by my grandmother, and fortunately, she gave me nothing but unconditional love. But I grew up in a dual alcoholic family. And we had a 2-bedroom house with 6 kids. If you want to call it a 3-ring circus, that'd be mild. And today, all of us are doing okay. But it probably wouldn't happen if we wouldn't have guidance from God, our our family, cousins, uncles, grandmothers, grandfathers. And it was pretty normal back then, you got whipped by a belt and you got hit by a paddle and all that. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying that, it taught us what was right and wrong, and we went on. But what has happened to the Jones family and what has happened to Amber is a total mistake. Amber should be able to go on with the rest of her life and enjoy it for what it is. And I feel for her deeply for losing all those children that were totally remarkable from what I've seen in pictures. My heart hurts for her. And it does not hurt for the monster, the absolute monster that didn't get his way and killed them all. And that's just about all I got to say.
Right. Well, thank you. You said it very well. And everybody, here wants justice for Amber and understands. And you have our prayers, Amber, and love in going through this, because it's extremely hard for people that are not even related to anyone in the trial. But our heart goes out to you, as these are your 5 children that were taken from you by this monster. So stay strong and know that we're here for you.
I thank you, Mommy.
Oh, you're welcome, John. I was just reading a comment here.
You have the best forum I've ever found.
It's only as good as all the members, right?
Right. And the members are just top notch. And my pineapple is doing great.
Oh, is it? Oh, good.
Yeah. And that's important, because I never thought it could grow a pineapple in Iowa.
I know. A lot of people are learning something new about growing pineapples, and I hope to learn something about my avocados still sitting there in the seed, but I have hope. I have a lot of hope for the avocado. And let's see here. And ice cream cakes. A lot of people are making ice cream cakes.
Well, I haven't tried that, but
You should. It's really easy. You'll impress yourself. So let's see. Same here, Tricia. So but now, Elle, you said your son had the baby. I know that they had a loss before that, and she had the baby. You wanted me to put up the picture, but I don't have the picture in my email. Didn't even share this. So congratulations, but I can't access the Mommy Rumblings email, so you have to send it to the truecrime.org. Thank you, Tanya. Okay. Let me see if it's there. I'm going to check to see if the picture's there. Whoops. All right, so yeah, Elle, I still don't have anything. Oh, that's very nice. Sheila is making a blanket for Amber, and this is one of the squares. So here's the little angel and Gabe's name. That's very nice, Sheila. I'm sure she will love it and treasure it. You're very sweet to do that. But I don't see from you, Al. So I don't know if you're still sending it. It's you have to send to the ones Snoop Medic and put up there. You're going to be adding more to the square. Okay. Good. See, now Debbie's gone. I think we have one caller that's going to call in. Is is that just given number 2? Someone else that wants to call in. So I'm just trying to forward something. Has anyone seen Charlene? I emailed Charlene and I didn't even get a reply back, which is really, really odd. I hope she's okay. You've watched the trial and the comments are disgusting. Why do women tear other women down? I don't know, Tanya. It is disgusting. Allie Cattell says, I think they're unhappy with themselves. True. Thank you, Donna. I'm trying to see if you have any questions. They just got home today. You're nervous to email after another hacked. Oh, okay. How can safely post? Would it be okay to text it to Jules? She can then email you, then delete my number quickly. Sure. Jules can send it to me. That's fine. You saw her in Casbat's Live, Christina? Okay, good. Because I was in Casbat's Live and I didn't see her. Today? I must be blind. It has to be emailed to me, Jules, so that I can share it. Hi, Bonnie. Bonnie, are you there? Hi, Bonnie. Bonnie?
Hello?
Yeah, hi, Bonnie, are you there now?
Yeah, hey, how are you? I'm sorry, I still haven't figured this thing out yet.
Oh, that's okay. How are you doing?
I'm good, hiding out here on the deck so I don't wake anybody up.
Oh, okay. Did you want to comment about this case?
Yeah, I've been watching it on YouTube, and it's awful. I don't see where he's the least bit. I don't know where they would find him to be insane. Every time somebody comes up there, he's just giving them the evil eye. And I think his whole thing is revenge. I think he was just totally insulted by Amber going to someone else, and especially a young man that, you know, hadn't found his way in the world yet, I guess what he would say. And I think that was a huge insult to him. And I think everything he did to hurt her. Like when he called her and things like that, and the kids would be crying. I think it was all to hurt her. just whatever set him off that night, that must have been the last straw for him. But I don't think it was insanity.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. He wasn't insane. No.
No. It was all to hurt her. And I think he really enjoyed her getting up there and testifying and seeing her, how much he had hurt her.
Sure.
I think he just loved every minute of that.
He did. Yeah, it certainly appears that way. He loved it. He loved staring them all down.
Yeah, he did. He did. But I think he enjoyed every bit of that. And I just, I don't think he, it wasn't that, he cared about the kids. I think, maybe, he probably, I know he really loved her and everything, and he probably loved the kids at some point, but, it depends on, it's just like Chris Watts. You kind of wonder, well, could they really love someone and do that to them, And I think the whole religion thing, he used that to his advantage. And it's really interesting that he married her. She was only 19 years old. And then the other girl that he got into a relationship after Amber, she was only 17. So it shows a pattern. And he's, after someone he can control. And, I think he used like a lot of people have said in the chat, that he used religion to his benefit. I mean, even his pastor said, they wouldn't let him have any kind of leadership role in the church because of, he knew his Bible, but he didn't apply it, and he would take and manipulate it, and he made it for his own purpose.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was reading the chat and I was on mute. So.
Oh, yeah. No, you're fine.
Somebody said, could he get in trouble with his girlfriend only being 17? I don't know. What is does anybody know the law in California there on statutory rape?
I have no idea, but I know she was living with him, and she had she testified. She said she was living with him and that she had a child. And I think she said that it was, I think she said the baby was 1, and she said that the baby was basically, it hadn't really started to where it could walk good on its own. I think she said it was like toddling around and pulling stuff up on the coffee table and stuff. And she said something to the effect that he went to grab it up and was going to spank it, and she stopped him. And I think that was,
yes, I heard that. Yeah,
because
she knocked. Yes, because she was knocked over a drink or something.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, but I mean, she was only 17 years old.
Right, and she actually said she didn't even say spank it. She said whip it.
Yeah. And he had her wearing the dresses and, doing all that stuff that, because he was trying to control her. So, right. And he takes these women who don't have, I mean, it's like Amber. She didn't have a high school diploma.
Mm-hmm.
And, people, when you go to court, they look at that because they look at a parent not just because if it's the mother or father, but if that person can support that child and whatnot. And so they obviously at the time, they didn't think Tim would, mistreat his children or whatever. So they put him, the kids with him. Plus he had a lawyer. I mean, if you have
a lawyer, he had all the finances, the car, the vehicle,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Amber, there was no way she could take those kids from him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she didn't even have a place to live. She was living with that boy's mother.
Right. Was the trailer in just Tim's name or was it in both names? Do we know that?
I think he bought that trailer outright.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was probably, as controlling as Tim was, I think it was probably just in his name.
Probably, yeah.
It would be interesting to see, but I mean, I just don't think he would have given Amber that kind of ownership.
Right. He wanted to keep her down.
He had to have her under his thumb.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yep.
So, and this other girl, she was the same exact way, 17 years old with a baby. I bet you 9 times out of 10 she did not finish school. And, you know, he did the same thing with her that he was doing with Amber.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows what kind of person he is. So, I mean, that doesn't show insanity. That shows narcissism. So.
Yep, absolutely. Preying on the weak and, yep.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, so many people will, you know, faith and, you know, beliefs will, you know, it's easy to blame everything, but who the real problem is, you know, it's Tim that's the problem. It's not a person's faith. I mean, you can take anything and make it say something that you want it to say. And I mean, he was going to this church and everything, and I've seen people like that in our own church that, you know, they'll sit there and scream and shout stuff from the Bible, and they know their Bible, but, you know, you don't let them take on a leadership role in the church because you see them. You know, you see what they're doing, and his pastor was obviously on to it. And so, you know, that was all Tim. It didn't have nothing to do with, you know, his faith or, you know, that it was what he wanted it to be. So he's a hot mess.
Absolutely. Yep. I agree. I don't know. And he's not even trying to act at all incompetent in court. In fact, he's passing notes and tapping the prosecutors, the defense when they don't stand up. And, you know,
he's like he's orchestrating the whole thing. And it's like he loves that control.
Mm-hmm. And
I was surprised about what you were saying about his father, the stuff about the diaper and a couple of the other things. How did you find that out? Did the prosecution, did they bring that up, or how was that figured out that he wasn't telling the truth about that?
Because I heard it from someone on the case who was clearing that up.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but the baby was not even in the residence that the father went in at that time.
Wow.
The baby was with
a
babysitter.
That
was a neighbor.
He's not a credible witness.
Right. And, you know, I guess he just doesn't want his son to face the death penalty. He's okay, you know, do the crime, pay your time or whatever he said there. But I think he's just doing whatever he has to get Tim off the death penalty.
Now, I was under the assumption that this case was they had already proven him guilty and that he was going to prison, but they were that this was strictly a death penalty case where they were trying to get the death penalty. And whereas, you know, I didn't think that, you know, this 120 days thing, you know, insanity and stuff like that was playing a role in it. I mean, am I right, or did I misunderstand that?
Can you just repeat that? Because I had to get an email for some. What did you say? You're right about what?
I was thinking that the case that they're doing right now for Tim Jones is basically that they already had found him guilty.
Yes,
but they were trying to go for the death penalty. That this was strictly a death penalty case where, you know, they're not going to let him loose. It doesn't have anything to do with like letting him out of jail. That it would be a life sentence.
Well, I read, if you go back, we got extensive information from someone that knows the South Carolina court system very well. So he went through what he could be found, and he's already guilty. Okay, he's already said guilty, but guilty by reason of insanity. He can be found on 4 things: either guilty, not guilty, guilty by reason of insanity, or guilty with mental illness. And if you go back, I don't know the exact timestamp. I read all of those things that will happen with each one that this Von Solo sent us. who knows that court system.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard you when you read that, and I was so confused because I thought, that those weren't even on the table. Those cards weren't even on the table. That this was strictly whether or not he was going to get the death penalty or not, and that I had no idea that was going on.
Okay, and I have just a quick other little update here. Let me see here. Amber was 16 when she met Tim, and
she was 16.
Yes.
Oh my Lord! She was just a baby. How old was he?
Wait, hold on one second. Let me just see one thing here. I'm just trying to make sure I have this right. She was 16 when they met, and had her birthday the week she moved in. Oh no, I think she means no. This is the girlfriend. The girlfriend. The babysitter girlfriend was 16 when she met Tim and had her birthday, turning 17, the week she moved in. And Tim was 33.
Oh, dear Lord.
And Tim was 33.
How old was he?
33. Yes.
Oh, my Lord.
And Sean, now Amber's boyfriend, was 24 when he got together with her, and Amber was 27.
Okay, so Sean, because they keep saying he was 19.
Right.
So was he 19 or 24 when they first got together?
What I'm hearing here right now is he is 24 when Amber and him got together, and Amber was 27.
Well, Lord, isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? Geez. That's terrible.
Yep.
And he talked like that. He talked like Sean was a baby, and he couldn't believe that Amber did that.
And he was with a 16-year-old.
And here he's robbing
with
the
a
cradle.
16-year-old.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. He was robbing the cradle.
Yep.
She's just a baby. I mean, where are her parents?
I don't know.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. If that doesn't say something about who he is, that, I don't know what kind of, I don't know how much more you would need to be able to see him for who he is.
Teresa says examples of different state statutory ages of consent. California, the age of consent is 18. It's illegal for anyone to engage in sexual intercourse with a minor under the age of 18 unless they are that person's spouse. I believe it's 18 in New York as well. And does anybody know what it is in South Carolina?
So it would only be, would they only get him for that? Like if the parent turned it in, or if she turned it in, or if he was caught in some way?
I don't know. I'd have to see what it is in South Carolina. It could be surprising. It might be 16 there. I don't know.
Now, the boy, not changing the subject, it runs along the same lines, but the boy that in the Gypsy Rose case, where did that case come out? Where was they originally when they committed the murder? Do you remember what state they were in?
Oh, what state he was in? No, not offhand.
Or what state she lived in, where they committed the murder? Because I'm wondering with him. I mean, he definitely. I've been watching.
Wasn't it?
My
I know that they had moved because they were in Katrina. Didn't they move to Missouri? Was it Missouri?
Yeah, they built a house for them.
Right.
And I can't remember where it was, but he just, my daughter and I, we've been watching the movie on, I think it's Hulu.
Oh, Mommy, is it Mommy Dead and Dearest?
No, it's called,
the Act.
The Act.
Yeah.
The Act.
Yes.
And I mean, you could really tell that boy was not right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he just, and he got life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just,
right,
I feel
and he
sorry for him.
He does have, he is autistic, but Missouri is where they lived. And Bridget says the South Carolina age of consent is 16.
Good grief. Huh. That's something else. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It kind of makes you wonder about the court system, because you look at somebody like Tim, and you can see obviously that man. I mean, he had his wits about him, and I mean, he was able to hold down a steady job. And I mean, out of his coworkers, no one ever said anything about him, acting weird or anything like that. And then you have this boy that was obviously, he was staying with his parents. He didn't have a decent job, and you could definitely tell he had, mental illness, and he gets life in prison. And then here's this guy, I don't see how in the world they could even be trying this and plead insanity. I mean, that's just, there's no way he could hold down a job, an IT job. My husband, he works in IT, and he's not with Intel, but what he does is money marketing. And the job that he has is very stressful. And so with what Tim was dealing with there, he wouldn't have been able to hold down that job if he had any type of mental illness going on. Even if he was able to work on a daily basis, it would have come out. People would have seen it, because you're dealing with people over the phone and all these things, and stuff is always breaking down. And it's just, my husband comes home and he's just like, yeah, I had one of those days. So, I mean, I just don't see how he could hold down a job like that with having problems. There's no way.
Right, and that's, but see, they're going to use that to say, see, he wasn't insane then, and then he became insane when he committed these murders.
Like he just snapped.
Mm-hmm. And was insane when he did it.
But see, he's claiming that he was afraid of the kids, and that he thought they were conspiring against him. So, I mean, can he really say he just snapped?
Well, yeah, because that's why they keep asking all these Intel workers, did he ever say he was afraid of the kids? Did he say he heard voices? Did he talk about his mother? That's why they keep drilling it, because they're going to say that he had this, insanity when he killed them, and that's what happened.
So that's why they keep bringing that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Huh. I don't know. I just don't see. Do you think
No,
that...
No, I don't think so, because there's so many things.
No. I mean, do you think that they would let him, after 120 days, walk? I mean, do you really think that that could be even a remote possibility?
I don't know. I don't think that. I mean, I don't know how they could think he. I don't know how anybody could think he's insane. I don't get it. But I'm thinking the jury's going to come back fast that he's guilty.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
I hope you're right, because I don't know. I mean, it's all the notes that all the things that he wrote down,
mm-hmm.
and things about what he was going to do. I mean, that's exactly, he was doing the same thing he would do in his job. Making
mm-hmm.
those notes, because that's what they do, like the team leader and stuff like that. It sounds exactly like my husband's work. And they get together, they have a team leader, they come up with a plan, and then they execute that plan. And then if that plan doesn't work out, then they, work on it again, and they come up with another plan. But the notes that Tim was taking and things like that, he was doing it just like he would do at work. And he had everything written out, and all of the, ideas that he had that he was going to do. He was totally in control. He was, he was not, he didn't lose any of his faculties.
No. And the fact that he was concealing it when he was pulled over by the police, and he had a plan. He was thinking clearly.
How did he do that?
Yeah.
How did he do that? How did that cop not smell that odor I mean, that
Oh, well,
just
at first he
boggles
was
my
saying
mind.
he had garbage in the car. He was lying. He was concealing it. He was lying to the police, you know, and all of that shows that he knew the consequences. Why would he lie? If
Yeah.
he was insane and he had no idea what he was doing, why wouldn't he say, my children are dead in the car? He knew the difference
I don't
between
get
right and
that.
wrong,
How,
and so he was concealing it.
how in the world did that cop not smell that? You've got
Oh, they
five bodies
smelled.
in your car. I mean, I don't know if you've ever smelled, you know, something, a dead body. When you smell that, you will never forget it. And it's got a distinct odor, you know, and it is just pungent.
Oh, I've smelled dead animals, and it smelled bad enough, you know. I mean,
Well, it's
so
worse
yeah,
than that.
right.
It's worse than that. When they go into like say you have a body and it's been like in a house and it's been there for like a week or whatever, and what they normally do, this is no lie, they will take vapor rub and they will put it, like they'll take a gob of it and put it up each nostril to block their nose.
Right.
So that they can still smell it through that.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't see how in the world that cop did not smell that smell. I mean, how did she not, you know, they're getting him out of the ditch, you know, and whatnot. He's got to open that car door and take that car out of park or whatever for the tow truck to be able to pull him out. So he had to open the car door at some point. How did they not smell that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe they just wanted to get the heck away from him. Maybe they bought that he had garbage in there. I don't know. I mean,
that's crazy.
Maybe he had just poured bleach. I don't know. You forgot to tell me, Carolyn.
That blows my mind.
Cadaver dog. Oh, you have a cadaver dog, Joan?
Oh, Joan has a cadaver. Yeah, I mean, even oh my God, that's just. Yeah, Joan probably knows all about. There is no way you cannot smell that and not mistake what it is. There is no way. And, you know, she must have been inexperienced and, you know, hadn't been involved in something like that or ever been around anything like that. I don't know. But that's crazy. But I'm going to go ahead and let you go here.
Okay.
I'm going to get in here before my husband wakes up and catches me. Oh, usually I'm hiding out in the living room and just listening. But I'll talk to you later.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for calling in.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, and the other thing is, you know, he blamed Nathan, the 6-year-old, right? He blamed Nathan for what happened. That's, you know, what he was trying to save. And, you know, it's Nathan's fault. If Nathan hadn't done this, none of this would have happened because everything else is beyond his control. So. And his father called those his babies. So it sounds like his father has, you know, a control issue there in and of itself. But, you know, that's what one could discern from that. But it could also be, you know, I don't know. In his case, I think it was, he would say that, but then he also seemed a little bit very unfeeling with, you know, what do you need that kid for? That one's in diapers, and what do you need those kids for? So in one minute he was calling them his babies, like he was so attached to them. The next minute he's saying, just go be a hero every 2 weeks. So I there's a lot of inconsistencies as I look at the father's testimony.
Hello?
Hi, who's that?
Hi, Carolyn. It's Lonnie.
Oh, hi, Lonnie.
Yay, I finally made it in.
You did. What's going on?
I did. Well, I sent you an email. I'm the one with the extra journals.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you got.
I don't know.
And
yeah.
Well, you know what? When I emailed you today, I think I might have left off the G in org when I sent it the other day. But anyway, I have extra journals that if that I can donate to you so that you can give out more.
Okay, I mean, if you want to do that, that would be that would be great. If you want to just, hold it there, you could tell me which one we have, and that way you wouldn't have to send it to me and then send it out again. I can just give, PayPal you the money to send it to whoever the winner is, and maybe just ship it from.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so
that would be great.
just want to hang. Just let me know which one it is, so that I can tell them which one. They
yeah, because I think I had a few that you didn't have, so
right.
I would be glad to donate some, and so I'll send you the names and of the journals that I have.
Okay, great, very good. And like I said, I can, take care of that for you by PayPal, and you just let me know which ones they are, and we can put that on.
Okay, and Carolyn, you call me. I think you call me Lori all the time, and when I say hello. I don't ever gotten my name right.
Yeah, probably not, because I do the same thing to Fen or Fern or whatever her name is. Yeah. Are you Lori Litt? Are you the one I call Lori Litt?
I'm Lonnie Gore.
Oh, Lonnie Gore? And I call you Lori Gore?
But you always say Lori, so.
I do that a lot with a lot of people's names. Yeah.
I know.
It
just cracks me up. So, but I can't see the chat or anything, so I'm going to go ahead and hang up. I just wanted to let you know about the journals so that more people can enjoy them. They are so cute.
Okay, I appreciate that. And yeah, just send me an email with what you have, and then I can get that going and see what we're going to do on how to give away those.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so I think probably call it a night here, because it's been a crazy day, and I've been up since what time did you guys get me up? I don't even know. 5 or something? 4:30. I don't even know, but so thanks to our mods, thanks to all the callers that came in and discussed everything. Thank you for everyone in the chat for able to discuss everything, in a nice way. And prayers for Amber as we go through another day of trial tomorrow. It was early, right, Jules? Yeah, that's why I'm especially tired tonight. You can't wait for this trial to be over. Yes, absolutely, Cowgirl. I am fully with you on that. Fully with you on that. I want to make sure that she saw my lips. Okay, so everybody have a great night. Thank you again, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. And I guess we'll just go out of here with this. And I'll shut everything down this time. So nobody has to call me.